Type 40 Live bounces back. It's the live stream Doctor Who magazine show across your view screen on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook too. Talking all things Doctor Who from right way back then, whenever it was you stepped on board with whatever Doctor, to the right here and the right now. All in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans and companions just like you. And what was that? He's off. He's gone. Turned his back. We'll live. I think I'll be fine. Doctor Who, on the other hand, it's rather smarting, I think, from the most half-baked season finale, half-arsed regeneration ever. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much how I feel too. Let's get into it. Type 40 Live. Oh, really quiet around here all of a sudden, is this? After all of the mayhem of the last 8 or 9 weeks. We've got a worm's eye view here, right underneath the TARDIS. I can't see any of Poppy's sort of rusks or anything like that kicking around. So they've tied it up after them, at least. Bound to find something later on. I think that's generally the way it goes. Hello. So I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. I'm back again. We've made it through, topping off the week as well. A huge week for Doctor Who. Well, I say huge. It depends who you are. I think it's Russell T Davies may wish that his week was slightly smaller. We'll see as the conversation goes on between us, won't we? Can't wait to see what you've got to say. Or then we're going to bring on the panel in a moment. Yeah, they're ready to go. Lots of opinions that we're yet to hear about all of that. Yes, everybody's been talking about Doctor Who this week, haven't they? You know what? They deserve it all, don't they? Okay, so I'm happy to welcome back after a couple of weeks away, shuffling around and hitting the keyboards and hitting the stage and doing whatever else he's been up to. It's Mr. Simon Horton, rock and roll star.
Yeah, I have. It's lovely to be back again, everybody. Yeah, I've been hitting the stage actually a little bit, but there we go. You know, what can you do? And Lenny is in the building. Yes. Everybody, Lenny fans. Yeah, Lenny is here. For whether he likes it or not, I'm really not sure what he's going to make of tonight's show, but he is here.
How is he with like strong swearing, like intense 4-letter words? How is he with those?
He tends to nip your ankles.
It's great to see you, mate. Genuinely,
it's lovely to be back. It is really. I think I've only been off. Have I been off 1 week, 2 weeks actually? I think I was off 2 weeks. I've lost track. Too long anyway. Too long. So it's lovely to be back. Well, yeah, I must be mad. Am I too late? Can I get out now before we start?
Yeah. We are somewhat sat in a crater, even if it is nice and bright and white for the time being. There's bound to be some SH1T up the walls. I don't think it's going to be very bright for too much longer.
It just suddenly looks very, very empty, doesn't it? It looks very empty and hollow all of a sudden.
It does, like the hollow promises of 2023. Let's fill up the console room here with our mate Gary Akers, again sporting the diamond logo, but the proper one.
I am totally envious of Simon's shirt. I love that shirt.
This is a good one, isn't it?
It really
I'm an 80s kid. Cool. What can I say, Gary?
No, well, I was going to say I wouldn't expect. Yeah, very, very much your thing now.
Do you know what, Gary? I always say the world needs more color. That's what it needs. It needs more color in the world. We need it. We just need more color out there.
You're going to tell me that that shirt was made from an authentic pair of Nick Kershaw's old curtains?
Well, it might as well have been, mightn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, that's what Type 40 Thursdays is for, to bring a little bit of color into a gray world.
Quite right, Gary. Quite right. Lovely to see you, sir.
And you.
We're going to put that on the banner. Thank you.
I won't even charge you for that, Dan. You go ahead and
you can have that one for free.
That's right.
Next up, back again. Here she is, the fabulous Charlotte Shields.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Charlotte. Bring some normality to proceedings.
Oh, come on. It's a slot. That's never going to happen. I will say one thing. I want to honestly congratulate Russell on something.
Go on.
Managed to make Doctor Who fandom unite. Actually agree with each other.
Are we united again? Is that it? Are we officially united?
Yes.
United in
We
therapy, I
usually
think.
don't agree, but I've heard a lot of people saying similar things for once, which never happens in this fandom.
That's right.
So well done, Russell.
That's right. We've all got our pitchforks.
He finally did something right.
Finally did something right.
Oh, I mean, nobody's angry at all, are they? Nobody's frustrated.
No, not at all.
No. Oh, God, you got to laugh, haven't you, Rog? Yeah. Okay, yeah. And speaking of laugh, it's a good job we have our next panelist on board because, he tends to be full of mirth, which is strange, really, because it's first thing in the morning for him. He's our real life time traveler. And he's usually got a four-legged friend with him as well, but I can't see whether Charlie's around. But we do have Matt Pot. Almost as good.
No, Charlie's rugged up. I'm not.
He's rugged up.
Chilly, very chilly.
Very good, very good. Good to have you back, mate. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm still recovering.
Good on you.
As we all. Oh, it's still running around in my brain going, what the hell did I just watch? But yeah, it's still taken a week. But
like
yeah,
hangover,
it is. It's like a hangover. It's like, what? And it's been fantastic to see some people sort of change their minds to what they've been watching for however long.
Yeah.
It's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is Doctor Who fandom. That's really not supposed to.
Yeah, exactly,
that's really not supposed to happen. Well, if you are still hungover from the frivolity of it all, I've got a great hangover cure for you in the form of our guest filling the guest seat this time. A recurring guest, really. He's done lots of these shows in the past, but not for a little while. I can offer you a generous tot of the writer, comedian, and actor. Back on the show, Chris Walker-Thompson.
Hello.
Hello.
What a week, eh?
Hello.
What a week. Oh,
You made it.
yeah. I did.
You got to laugh, haven't you, Chris? Good to have you back, mate. How have you been?
Not a bit too bad. I mean, well, aside from Saturday night, where I didn't actually watch it live, I was at an in-laws, and I didn't get home to about 10:30, maybe 11. And I thought, well, I've got to watch this before I go to bed. So me and my wife sat up and watched it until about 11:30, 12. And then I don't think I slept for the next couple of hours because I was just so pissed off.
You, me, everybody else. Of course, Chris is talking about The Reality War, which is still streaming. Amazingly, they haven't put a health warning on this. It's still streaming on the BBC iPlayer and Disney Plus. The final episode of the latest season of Doctor Who. And what a racket that's created. What a raucous, Chris. I mean, you could say that everything seems like a raucous on social media, but in this instance, it probably was justified.
Oh my goodness! I think to echo what Charlotte said there was, it's nice to feel a part of a majority again. You know, being a lot of people have, I think, definitely switched to, you know, sort of like the walls come off their eyes and they can see. Actually, and it's just such a shame, really, because after the first season, I generally gave up. After Empire of Death, I gave up. I thought, I can't bring myself to watch another episode. I haven't watched Joy to the World, and I will never watch Joy to the World as it stands. But then the second series began, and 3 episodes in, people were quite raving about it. And I thought, all right, let's give it a go. So 3 weeks had passed. I hadn't watched it. I refused to be added to the minute viewing figure, which doesn't matter anymore apparently. and I gave it a go, and I actually really got suckered in. I really enjoyed it. I followed the ride straight through, and I was really sort of actually quite excited for this finale. I even liked Wishworld to a degree. I could see the flaws, but I was like, oh, please stick the landing. But I don't even think Russell knew where the landing zone was. It's so. You know,
Chris, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean.
I know. Oh,
Hey, it's almost
me that freak. Oh dear, it's just I couldn't believe what I watched, and I think at various intervals throughout it, I was going, "Oh, f off," to many points out loud, and I just thought, I was saying to someone about how annoying it is with like they said, well, don't let the finale ruin the series. And I said, but it does though. It will do because it's all built to this.
Mhm.
Yeah, the clue's in the name.
And the characters have developed into this. It has spoiled it massively, and it's such a huge shame because I was quite happy enjoying the show, and then suddenly, nope, too much. It wasn't perfect. But then the finale sort of cemented, actually, I think Russell T Davies' ego has really got to him.
You could be right. Simon, I know you probably haven't watched the finale. Just to bring you up to speed, mate, just in case you're wondering, this guy here, that is, believe it or not, that is Omega. Yep. Omega.
Yeah, that's Omega. Yeah. I saw a tiny clip of Omega on. Yes, you're quite right. I haven't seen the episode, and no, I'm not. I refuse to give it a viewing figure, so I certainly won't be watching it anytime soon. But I saw, obviously, on social media, little minute-long clips were popping up, and the Regeneration popped up. So I saw this of Omega sort of clambering out of the doorway. And I was like, flipping it. Did they learn nothing from Sutek last year? Was absolutely nothing learned from Sutek. It's just like
I think that was my second F off. That was the second F off.
Yeah.
The moment I saw that claw come round, I went off.
It's just, it's just ridiculous. And Omega's such a loved character, as much as Sutek. So they ballsed up Sutek. And then they do exactly the same thing with Omega. And Omega, let's be honest, looks like just a sort of a kind of decayed version of Sutek from last year. So they've clearly run out of ideas anyway. But it's just like, what's the point of even trying to claim that is Sutek? If you're going to bring back a classic villain, monster, whatever, you've at least got to have them look vaguely like you can accept it. I mean, I remember in 1983 being a little bit gutted that Omega didn't look more like Omega from the Three Doctors. But I get what they were trying to do there. He clearly couldn't do, because otherwise it would have ruined the surprise. So there was a reason why he was in a different outfit. And the fact remained, the outfit that they put him in, I could still buy. Okay, that clearly is still Sutek. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this, what's the point in bringing back? Sorry, Omega. I keep saying Sutek. It's because the two of them are interchangeable now in the world of Doctor Who. I look at this Omega now, and it's just like, what was the point in claiming to bring back Omega? You could have just called that we're looking at on screen. You could have called that anything. You might as well have called him Sutek, to be honest.
Yeah.
You might as well have said they were bringing Sutek back from the void, because it just looks like a decayed version of Sutek from last year. Just ridiculous. What's the point? What's the point?
And they went to the effort of putting the seal on as well. And I thought, well, why would you bother with that?
What seal, Chris? What seal did they put on? The seal of Rassilon?
The seal of Rassilon turns into the seal of Omega.
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
So you see the center circle on him, on his chest. They sort of replicated that as if it was the seal of Omega.
Okay.
So, and I thought, that's a brilliant attention to detail.
Yeah.
Shame they didn't think about it when applying it to the man himself.
Well, exactly. It just beggars belief. Just beggars belief. What can you do?
Nick Briggs didn't work by giving him the voice, and we'll put it to this CGI.
Did he actually say anything? Because obviously, I say, having not seen the episode, I just saw the 1 minute where he crawls out of the hole. He does say something, does he?
I like your description, Simon.
It's very dark.
Well, it's true, Matt.
It's his crypt. It was his tomb. That wasn't a hole. It was his tomb, as if he had a body to be buried.
I think a couple of lines moaning about the Time Lords. That was it.
Okay.
Simon, he was too busy eating the Rani to say anything.
He mumbled so much, he might as well have been Tom Hardy.
Not in a good way.
Venom, you know.
I just like the fact that Russell thought that was a great idea to do that.
but then,
Oh,
but
yes,
then,
yes,
Max,
the
I've got a
Rani.
wonderful idea. Wonderful idea. Why don't we bring back Omega? It won't look like Omega, and he'll eat the Rani. He'll eat the Rani.
but then look, Chris, the problem with this is now, and this is the problem with by regeneration, we've still got a Rani out there. So even though he's eaten one Rani, we've still got another Rani.
Yeah, the
It's just
shit
like,
one.
We've got a spare.
Yeah.
She can't regenerate though, Simon.
I'm sorry,
It's
I
like,
don't rate Anita
don't-
Dobson's performance in any of it. I just any part. I just thought it just doesn't work. As a
None of it
neighbour next
works.
door,
None of it
fine.
works.
You can't make her sinister all of a sudden. The way she just stumbles out of that thing in the Eurovision parody, and just he goes,
Oh,
"The
God.
Doctor," you know. I was like,
Well, and the
Next
fact that all of it was a setup for a Two Ronnies joke that
oh, is that what it
most of
was?
the
That was the
audience
best
didn't
bit.
get. I'll leave
What
it
was the
to
joke?
Chris.
Tell me the
Go
joke, Gary.
ahead,
What was the
Chris.
joke?
Go ahead, Chris.
well, the joke was because the first Rani, well, the best one gets eaten
Yes,
by Omega.
the one that they should have
Picked
just
up,
kept.
Right.
Yeah, and then she goes, "Well, it's goodbye from me." You know, the Two Ronnies.
Oh, no!
Oh,
She
Oh,
takes
no.
the time. She
It's
takes the
good
time.
night from
Yeah.
her, and it's good
She-
night from me.
She
and then
takes
she
the time
disappears.
ring. She takes the time ring. Basically says, "Oh, okay. So much for the Two Ronnies. That's goodbye." She almost like turns to the camera. That's
Yeah.
goodbye
Yeah.
from me, and then she zaps away.
The Two Ranis. I
That's
didn't
right.
see it. Of course.
I
Brilliant. Well
think-
done, Russell.
I think you're all.
Well,
I think you're all
Simon,
terrible,
that you were
terrible
talking
and
about finding it
ungrateful
on
people.
YouTube.
Yes,
Instead of- if
we
you-
are.
There is
Yeah.
actually the whole clip is on YouTube, and it is actually 3 minutes.
Chris, it's fine.
think from
I can
beginning
live
to
without.
end.
I can
Yeah,
live
yeah.
without. It's
But
fine.
that's how long it is. That's how long it is. 3 minutes.
Oh, and also,
footage of Omega.
I love how people have pointed out. Remember, Russell said we couldn't have a sonic screwdriver because it's too much like a gun,
Oh, yeah.
and that was his whole thing about how Ncuti couldn't have a normal design
Yeah.
thing because of that exact reason.
Well, here's
Simon,
a bloody
Yeah.
rifle.
Simon, do you want to know how Omega gets defeated?
Go on.
Yeah.
Ncuti basically takes the sort of the prop they've been carrying around all series and
Oh, yes.
uses it like a laser rifle and shoots
Oh, okay.
Omega
Yeah,
back
like-
into the hole.
So that's okay.
It shoots him full in the face. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but we
okay.
can't
That's
have a
all right.
Sonic
We can
screw-
do that.
Yeah, but we
Wraps
can't have
it
a
up,
Sonic
3
actually
minutes.
designed like a Sonic.
I was,
You know,
I was waiting
ne-
for Ncuti to say,
So-
"God, your breath stinks," but he didn't.
Just
next you'll be telling me that this wasn't a fitting farewell for the 15th Doctor, as played by Ncuti Gatwa. I think you're all terrible people.
I'll miss the skirt.
oh yeah, we're all going to miss
Doesn't he
that
look
skirt.
like an angel? Doesn't he look like an angel with
I
those
think that
wings?
was-
Yeah.
Mate, I
Send
think
me-
that was.
send me
I
an
think
angel.
that was the idea to make him look angelic. He's there, beaming a great big beaming smile. There's no pain, no regrets, no fear or doubt of any kind. Because it's friggin' nauseating. So that was how it ended for
Well,
Ncuti
it's
Gatwa.
a
as
brilliant
the 15th
performance because he
Doctor.
looks like it's a brilliant performance because he looks like he gives a shit. Uh,
Yeah, it's almost.
Yeah, he
You
was
know,
so lovely. He liked torturing people. Yep.
You know, Dan, it's interesting. We didn't
Yeah.
mention this.
it looks
on
like
the-
he was so sad to go.
Well, but we didn't mention this on the
Yes.
on the amazing reaction show that we did. But I mean, it seems like it was they didn't allow Ncuti to feel his character to feel pain, sadness, regret. None of the things that like the 10th Doctor said. It's like, this body dies and some new person walks in. None of that. It was all joy, happiness. It didn't even in that sense, it felt like just a phony.
Yeah, Gary, he even had a
Regeneration.
past Doctor come in to tell him he's beautiful. He's
Yeah.
beautiful and the
Yeah, but-
best and amazing and all that.
As if she'd already met him anyway.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, you're my favorite. It's like,
Oh, and
now
also
he's-
After all of the joy.
we forgot, Simon, where when Jodie comes in, she tells Ncuti says that he is better than any other male doctor, and Jodie agrees. So there
No,
you go.
he
yeah, she
says
says,
no.
"All right, you're the best." That's her interest. All right,
Well,
you're the
no.
best, but
Yeah,
don't tell the
Simon,
others.
just
she
in
goes.
case,
goes.
Simon, just in
Shoots-
case you haven't seen any of this stuff, just when you think this episode couldn't possibly get any worse, Jodie would take a turns.
At what point does she turn up? Just towards the end, very last bit.
Mate,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to block it all out.
She pops out of She literally pops out of nowhere. Like literally pops out of
Yeah,
nowhere
yeah.
for no
For no
apparent
apparently
reason.
good
in the
reason.
TARDIS.
She just
Yeah, it
appears
kinda
in the
remind-
TARDIS.
What Charlotte? What is she there
felt
for?
like-
What does she appear for? What's the point?
She's there to teach him how to drive
Right.
the TARDIS for a minute. That was a nice moment.
Okay.
And then she's just literally there to say, "Oh, you're beautiful, and this face is gorgeous." And
Oh, and
really?
he tells her to say "I love you" to Yez.
oh yeah, we had to have that moment.
Oh, lovely! I'm so glad
that
I
was
missed
the
this
one
episode.
moment, and I'm being totally honest. That was the one moment that took me out of when I was watching it live, because the minute she appeared, the first thing that crossed my mind was, I wonder what Dan's going to think about this.
I wonder what they're going to say in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X when we've sort of worked our way through all of this at the tail
Yeah,
end
but
of
then, like I said,
a
we've not got to the
huge
best
week.
bit. We've not got to the best bit yet.
No,
No.
I
So-
don't think we should negate all the joy and the happiness and the love that Ncuti has brought our way over the last couple of years. Chris, what were we going to say?
He stuck out.
I was going
Chris?
to say, you think the Omega resolution ends at least half an hour before the end of the episode?
Oh, really?
Stuff.
Yes.
So So essentially, you think, could this get worse? Oh yeah, you got another half an hour.
What?
The rest that
Some of those
follows
hold my beer moments.
is where things just go even more.
Well, what happens in the
down.
last half an hour? What can happen in the
Everything,
last half an hour?
strangely, Simon, everything and nothing.
Everything. and
Everything
nothing.
just goes to a halt. Everything just stops, and it's like,
Yeah.
and then it's like plod along, plod.
Simon,
I know. Yeah,
And all you
Something,
need
something, something, cheesy line, something,
I know.
something.
I know what
Simon,
Simon's thinking.
Sickling
I know.
line.
By the look on your face, Simon, your greatest, your chief concern is: was this a fitting end to the Ncuti Gatwa? Because I know.
Oh, yes, I'm
the
concerned.
era has moved you over the last 2 years or so.
To the toilets,
as it has us. So here's a bit of a recap, so you can relive some of his great
Oh,
scenes.
good.
Check it out.
Hits plural.
Yeah, this actually happened. This actually.
And that
Oh,
is
God.
exactly the word.
It's like rewatching a car crash, isn't it?
Enjoy.
This has been.
The thing is, Chris, it's like we care. It's
Sure.
like they're doing this as though we give a damn that he's about
and
to
also
go.
Simon-
Well, I like
Simon.
how he said. I think it's very apt that he used the expression "has been" there.
Yeah, and he's doing this to a star.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Fuck me.
Give me the loving!
Dan, you're a sadist.
Yeah, queen!
God, don't remind me of Alan. Torture. I really wanted that scene.
Ah!
Do you know?
Yes, and
do you
that's
know-
how it all ends.
Do you know what I think? I think as the more I watch this, the more I see this, I think that what's happened here 3 or 4 years ago, when Ncuti Gatwa was cast, I think Russell T Davies was infatuated with Ncuti Gatwa, and he assumed that we would all be as infatuated with him as he was. So I think Russell T Davies just thought, all I've got to do is put him on the screen and everybody will fall in love with him just as much as I have fallen in love with him. I honestly think that's what's happened here. And there was an arrogance there that he just assumed. He gambled on the fact that he just assumed. He never even thought that we wouldn't fall in love with him as much as he had clearly fallen in love with him. And that's, I
Simon,
think,
at
what's happened
least-
here.
At least when it came to David Tennant, they'd worked together before. They'd got that relationship over
Yep.
quite a period of time. So
Yep.
you could see he perhaps understood. This is just somebody he'd seen in another show and he liked the show, liked
Yes.
him for whatever. And he seemed to be a response to that. Strange.
Yes.
Isn't
I just think there was a complete infatuation there. It's as simple as that.
Do you
And you can
think
see
it was
it's-
Simon? Do you think it was a sexual attraction?
I couldn't possibly comment, Matt.
Okay.
No comment.
I do think, to add to Simon though, it feels like he didn't think he had to work a character for this.
Yes,
bit.
that's what I'm talking about,
It
Charlotte.
felt like he didn't need to give him an arc.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
didn't need to do any of that stuff.
All he
just was
needed
like,
to
well,
do, all he needed to do was
Yeah.
put him in some clothes, stick him in front of the camera, and the audience would obviously love him because he is utterly adorable. How could you not love him? That was the idea.
Because we've all commented, like, at the beginning, I felt like they were going one way with his Doctor. And then by the end of that series, it was like a completely different character on screen. That me and Dan said this at the time. It was like, initially, we were going to get this Doctor free of all the baggage, free of all the angst and the sort of moping and the sort of over emotional dramatics that New Who has indulged in. And I was like, no, that's a good idea. The Doctor needs to move on. We need to actually see the character on screen.
Yeah.
Sort of put time war and losing people and all of that. And just enjoy the universe again. Just go out and explore. And I feel like by the end of that first series, all of that had gone. And we were just, he was crying all the time. He was stood there being useless. He was relying on other people. He was easily falling in love with people. And then by the end, he was cruel and he was cowardly. So that it was complete and utter reverse. So the character's all over this shot for sure.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess of a character. That was the one bit that I saw. I only saw a little bit of the first episode. I can't even remember what it was called now. What was it called?
The Robot Revolution.
Thank you, Robot Revolution. I only saw a little bit of that, and I saw the bit where he's laughing at the villain having been hoovered up. And it's just like, whoa, this is not the Doctor I know. It's just a mess. The character is a mess because I think they just assumed we'd all fall in love with him. It didn't matter what they did with him. They could have done anything with him. They just knew we'd fall in love with him because he's just Ncuti Gatwa. He's just such an adorable human being. And so why wouldn't we love him? I think that was the mistake.
His final shot, Simon, was this sort of video where he insisted that he was grateful and tried his best to seem like this was all part of some plan and to give a bit of affection back. It was probably one of his better performances, to be fair. But within 24 hours, he was off doing something that looks like it makes him a lot happier. Play with himself there.
The thing is, he clearly is. It was quite clear throughout the whole era that he wasn't interested in the show as much as what people would have expected him to be, and also was like, I think he's missed out on some like Hollywood opportunities as a result of this 2 years. This season that he's committed. I believe he was. I'm sure I heard he was meant to be in that Jesse Eisenberg film. I can't. I need to see where that source is. But he had a lot of work lined up, and one of the films that he was working on when he got announced was Barbie. And other things.
Yes.
So he was making a bit of a footway that way, and he's young and so on. So he's committed to a two season thing, and naturally, I can understand why he doesn't want to do a third because he's doing.
Well, can we just clear this up? Am I not right in remembering that he was supposed to be on for 3 seasons, or am I wrong with that? He was, wasn't he? I thought he was. So when? Yeah, go on, Charlotte.
But now in interviews, he said,
I know.
Oh, it was always the.
It was always 2.
No.
Charlotte, that's what I was asking the question, because I couldn't understand it, because I was watching these interviews with him where he's saying it was always planned to be 2, and I was thinking, I could have sworn he was contracted for 3.
Well, like Russell's writing this season, it's very contradictory.
If he was only ever supposed to do 2, how do you explain that Graham Norton comment?
Well, absolutely, Gary. That's what I keep coming back to. He thought he was filming 3rd. But you know what I think? Look at as I say, no, I haven't seen the episode, but what I've heard of it sounds like it was only sort of at the very end that the regeneration sort of almost leaps from nowhere for no apparently good reason. Right. So I have a strong suspicion here that last episode, which was called, remind me what it was called? Reality War. I have a strong suspicion that episode was made with no intention of Gatwa going. He was going to continue and do a 3rd season. And I think all of that stuff in the TARDIS was clearly a bolt-on
It was all shot in February, Simon.
Yes,
so
there
they
we
filmed
go.
the rest of it last May. So it was 7, 8, 9 months later, something like that.
There you go. So it's obvious that for whatever reason, his services were no longer required. Whatever the truth behind that one as to why, but it seems obvious to me that no, the reality war was never going to be the final story for Ncuti Gatwa, and they just bolted that coda on where he regenerates.
It's definitely, it definitely feels like there is a behind the scenes story of where things have fallen apart. For some
We'll
reason,
never get it, Chris.
No, we won't. But it makes you sort of think a little bit about the previous era as well. Stories have come out about behind the scenes of his first time as a showrunner. So it makes you wonder. Well, I mean, Eccleston, I know, obviously has his principles, and naturally you could understand him not getting on with a lot of people, as he's quite opinionated on that, and as his principles about things. But there are accounts for when he was at the Doctor that he, bullying on set and other sort of things, which makes you wonder if the same thing happened here. Did Ncuti and Russell get on? Did Millie and Ncuti get on? All these various things, which we may never know the truth of, but more things have come out about this for the first run. And then you see David Tennant obviously became the Doctor, and you sort of think, well, part of me actually sort of suspects him a little bit of, did he turn a blind eye to certain things that, did the habits change? They sorted out when he was the Doctor, or was he just someone who could be trusted to work with what was going on? Who knows?
He was compliant with the culture, knowing what it could do for his career.
I'm not saying that David Tennant's a bad man or anything like that.
No.
But I want that clear. But it does sort of strike me from twice
in any workplace. Some faces always fit better than others, and that can be incredibly unjust and unfair and painful for people in the scenario. Now, it's not a value judgment necessarily, but it does mean that sometimes entire working environments can develop a kind of atmosphere and a culture whereby when other people come into them, or other people may need to depart them under highly sort of charged circumstances.
Well, I was going to say, and in those interviews that you're talking about, Chris, another comment which was very sort of said quite a bit, and I'm seeing more and more people go back to it as long as Chris talks about how it was cliquey, how if you were in the club, if you were in the sort of the books, and if you were in the good books, that you were sort of protected, you felt very safe. And he talked about how he felt he was outside of that a lot of the time. And he talked about Russell and the producers and people who made him feel like he was isolated. So
that is the kind of vibe I'm getting, is a gatekeeping one.
If you're in the circle, you probably wouldn't notice it. But if you're outside, God, it's going to be noticeable. Maybe that's what's happened here. You don't know.
Yeah.
And I say we'll never find the truth of what's happened.
No.
Of course,
no, we won't.
Obviously, as the evening went on, certain events came to pass, things that we'd been tipped off about here at Type 40. And I know there were lots of rumors circulating around it by the time the dust and the fizz and the fire all cleared. And a face is seen to sort of visibly poke through the screen at you, Simon, in some pretty hideous CGI. I'm not convinced that anything here is Billy's, apart from her nose, her eyes.
It's just the face. It's just the face. You can see actually the neck still Ncuti's.
It's just I just don't think it's a desperately flattering way to shoot Billy, to be honest. Maybe she's happy with it. I just think she looks ridiculous. She looks laughable. It's not very flattering the way they shot her, I don't think.
Yeah, the full body shot of her, with the energy around her makes it really clear that her head looks just superimposed on to Ncuti's body, like Holly in Red Dwarf. She's like a
Because this image
you know,
that we've got on screen at the moment, it's becoming sort of, I'm not going to use the word iconic, but it's certainly becoming notorious. It's
notorious is the right word.
absolutely everywhere in a very short period of time as a signature Simon of ultimate failure.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It seems to have become immediately symbolic of failure of an entire era of the show. You just put this image up and everybody just laughs. It has, you're quite right, Dan, become symbolic, metaphorical of just the joke that the show has become. Nobody seems to have taken it seriously, even people who supported this era. Nobody seems to be taking this image seriously. And as I say, it doesn't help the way that it's been shot. It's just so uniconic in a way. So ridiculous, so ludicrous, so laughable. It's just a laughable shot. It's not cool. There's nothing cool or good about it.
It's the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people. It's just so over the top. Now, you know, I have seen some people say, "Oh, that'd be a really good idea." I don't know why, but they did. And I don't, you know, I'm not doubting that Billie Piper could be a good Doctor, but the point was this casting was clearly Russell asking a mate, can we use your image? We haven't got a series lined up. That'll probably be a discussion we'll have later, but there isn't another series lined up. But can we put this on there, you know, as the pitch to hope that we can get another series? But I'll tell you a funny thing is, well, this first bit isn't funny, but the rest of it is. The first bit is
we'll go with it.
One of my closest friends who I've known since I was at school. He's now blind and he can't see. So that bit's the not funny bit. The bit that is funny is that he then texted me, and I didn't, because I had my phone aside while I was at my in-laws, so I couldn't see the episode. I thought I'd put the phone down, and I checked my phone just before I went to watch it, and I'd heard the rumors that Billy was going to appear, and I just got this text from him, or voice message from him rather, just saying, "Who was that at the end of the episode? They haven't done another woman, have they? Who is it?" And then I had to then break it to my blind friend who it was. and he was like, he almost counted his blindness as a mercy.
Wow.
But that was a thing afterwards. I was like, I've got to send a voice message here, and I'll just get my phone up and go, look, mate.
Because the truth of the matter is, Chris, that there aren't many of us, and whether the original Russell T Davies era is one of your favourites or not, whether Rose is a favourite character of yours or not, there are very, very few of us that don't have a massive well of affection for this woman on a personal level, for what she represents. She represented, if we can say this image represents failure, she represented an enormous success. And not only that, but how you can turn expectations sort of inside out and completely sort of rise above anything that anybody would have ever expected of somebody in a given role. You know, I was very open to Billy's casting 21 years ago. A great many people were dead against it right away, and she charmed everybody. Whatever you felt about the material, whatever you even felt about the character, you couldn't doubt this woman was giving her all, and she felt like the right girl at the right time, leading the right show. We're now 2 decades on, and just as you say, Chris, it all feels so cynical, so desperate, sad, and clapped.
Well, it is.
And I don't think that Billy really knows what she's been pulled into.
I feel she's been used in a way. Yeah. I mean, I was one of the people who was dead against Billie Piper being cast back in 2004 when it was announced. I was dead against it. I thought it was the first nail in the coffin, and she completely won me over. I still adore her performance. I still maintain I think personally for me, it is the best companion and the best performance of a companion that we've had in the modern run of Doctor Who. I don't think it's ever been bettered. But to see her back I don't think she realizes in a way, did she take bad advice? I don't know what she was thinking, because
and you see, Simon, even though she's not playing Rose, and we're not even sure she's playing the Doctor, it's the fact that she's back at all. It's almost irrelevant who she's playing and in what context.
Yes,
just like Chris says, we don't know what we're getting, if anything, whenever or however.
I think it's I think it's fairly obvious she's not playing the Doctor. I'm not really in any doubt at all. She's playing some sort of Watcher kind of version of the Doctor. But the problem is it just smacks of utter desperation. This is the corpse of Doctor Who now eating its own corpse. It's literally eating itself. It is consuming it. The show is literally and metaphorically and artistically consuming its own corpse, and it's not a good look. It doesn't look good. There's only so many times you can bring back a favorite companion or a favorite Doctor or whatever, because otherwise the novelty runs off and it becomes pedestrian and it becomes uninteresting. And as I say, it's just not nice to see the show consuming itself in desperation to just try and find something that might just resonate with the public. It's just not a good look.
Can I just say this is the problem when you break too many rules, and he's broken every single one. Now, the one that really irked me, I'm not bothered about Billie Piper being in this. I'm really not. It's all the other things that have been much, much, much worse. Yes, this is a cherry on the cake, but it's how he does regeneration now, in that he goes, do you know how he regenerates, Simon? Have you heard how he regenerates?
No,
He forces himself to regenerate. He goes hurry-curry on himself. So now the Doctor can force regeneration from his own body. That's just that's ridiculous in itself. And that's just another rule that he's broken. And there aren't any more rules to be broken. So I'm not surprised by the fact that Billie Piper shows up at the end. And it's just
about
go on, Charlotte.
Been going in my head. They haven't confirmed her as the Doctor. I think it's very telling that in no official BBC press release, they haven't. And Simon, you picked up on this really quickly on the night. We had that credit. Is it a possibility that they haven't confirmed her because they were waiting to see how the fandom would react?
Oh, that's an interesting theory.
It's more than that, Charlotte. I think they're waiting to see how everybody will react, not just the fandom. Chris?
I think it's mainly. I think it's mainly. I've had this speculation for a while that the first series was a huge letdown in terms of viewers. And the Disney deal was looks like it was very bad. They weren't happy. Didn't look like they were happy at all with how it was. So they held back on, is there going to be a series 3? And that decision was then put down. We won't say anything until the end of the second season. Obviously, they've filmed this back to back, so they have a second season lined up. They've got to release it. And shockingly, it was a bit of an improvement on the first one. But obviously, they've done this reshoot at the end. Which they've essentially butchered whatever this finale was meant to be, and I think that the deal is dead. I personally believe that the Disney have no intention of renewing the contract, which means it leaves it with Bad Wolf.
I think we'd assumed that for a while.
So here on Type 40, we've been assured for several months. Again, it's not official. We know it's not official, everybody.
That's the thing. They're still hoping.
January. Disney have been out on this for well over 6 months.
I don't think. I think they're not going to renew it, but on the basis that it's not performed well. And I'm not just saying that on basis of our opinion or anyone else's opinion of the quality of the episode. It's more of what they liked and what they didn't like. It's more in the case of the views just did not justify it. It's the investment has not paid off.
They're a business at the end of the day. They're going to look at the bottom line on the figures. That's all they're bothered about.
So my sort of thought is really that this was basically a last minute pitch to sort of say, because Ncuti's gone, for whatever reason, he's wanted to leave before doing a third season anyway, and he isn't in a position with someone who could go on to Hollywood, which he has done already. He doesn't want to stick around for 2 years like Russ, because Russell then came out and said, "Well, we might be 2 years. We'll get it made. I'm going to write it, and we'll make it when we're ready." But they haven't got anyone to back it, so I think we're going to be in a long period of them. So what does he do? He could leave it cut to black, or he could try his luck, get someone who is happy just to use their face for that final shot, and then we'll see if anyone buys, if anyone is interested. Because I don't think Disney will take it on. Because
Billy
if
has
David Tennant
been-
coming, but if David
Well, Billy has
Tennant
been
didn't
a
work,
great
bringing in
advocate
the
for the
audience,
show.
Billy won't.
No, but she
Oh.
has been this great advocate for the show throughout the entire 20
Oh yeah, no
years.
doubt.
And she's gone on to arguably better roles, more challenging roles, albeit ones that haven't had that kind of broad appeal, and a great career ever since. But she's never, ever dissed Doctor Who, ever. And she's given this statement this week. She's only spoken once briefly. And she said, "It's no secret how much I love this show. And I've always said I would love to return to the Whoniverse, as I have some of my best memories there." So to be given the opportunity to step back on that TARDIS one more time was just something I couldn't refuse. But who, how, why, and when? You'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. So we might never ever get to see this. It's as simple as that.
I think it's possible.
Who, why, where, when?
That's the certainly thing. But I find it a bit arrogant of Russell to essentially ask Billy to do this bit, because one, it's
Surely
sort of
not. Russell T Davies arrogant.
Someone said to me, "Well, surely they must have, there must be a Christmas special coming along." I said, well, no, there's no production without their backing. So essentially, they're waiting. And BBC can't afford it. With the Disney money, Bad Wolf. That's the podcast. Someone said here on the comments it was a Freudian slip. Bad Wolf is the podcast I do with Martin. Bad Wolf Productions are sort of gatekeeping it, and I feel it's a bit arrogant to go and try and pitch it to say, "Look, it's not doing well, but trust us, we've got Billie Piper. This will be worth doing a third season if you let us." Whereas if you just left it cut to black in many years' time,
there may have been more dignity in this. And I think that Billy might, in the short term, thinking, well, it's not much to ask. How can it possibly reflect badly on me? Worst case scenario, I end up playing Doctor Who for an hour or two. Best case scenario is she gets to, she gets to help people out, gets to represent something. And she has been following through on it. Here she is with this on Instagram. They all use Instagram now. Billy said, "A joy to the world, Ncuti Gatwa. You are bloody brilliant." Those his pronouns are. They are now truly memorable. Big on feels, whatever that means. Utterly mesmerizing. So that was the first one. I still have no idea what he's doing there.
He must have been watching a different show.
And she went on to repost Farada Sethu's picture here with the three of them on the TARDIS, and simply saying, "What a trio." So she is on this. She is all over this, or her team are, supporting it doggedly on social media all week. Whether that will be sustained or not, I don't know.
Talk about wasted potential.
Another season.
I just hope they've paid her enough, because I honestly don't think that that will actually do her any favors. You just look at it. It's just not. I don't think this is going to. She didn't need to do this. The actress that she's turned into, the work, as you say, Dan, that she's managed to get. She's a respected actress. She's at the top of her game at the moment. She really didn't need to do this, and I don't think it will do her any favors.
And
it's already becoming a joke, Charlotte. It's already becoming meme worthy as well. So people are making parodies of this. Who else? But he plays everything else. Why not? There's Pedro Pascal as Billie Piper, as the Doctor. Maybe not the Doctor, somebody. Or there's, if you want to go classic old school, there's this.
Yeah, that was good. That.
This is a good sign that people are doing this, Charlotte.
oh no, like you said, it's now become okay to laugh and joke and point at the show, and it's sort of been getting to that point the last couple of years. But this is like become, we've all said, almost the straw that broke the camel's back. This was like the floodgates moment that the show has now gone into parody. Like that's
what I say. That's what I say. It's eating itself.
Yeah.
But the thing that's also, I think, you look at what she said there. Step one more time into the on the TARDIS. However, she's here for. It's not going to be long by that comment.
No,
she's
not a long-term thing.
And she's a mum. She's got kids. She's got plenty of other jobs. Like Simon said, she can do pretty much anything. She also likes to produce. She's doing that as well.
I honestly think, Charlotte, I honestly think, Charlotte, they're thinking if the plan was for them that if this works out, it'll be one episode, one special alone, and at the end of that special, she will regenerate into our true new Doctor. What number is it? 16. I've literally lost track of where we are now. And that's what I think will happen if they actually carry through with this.
Yeah, and like, so I then thought of like the more like how the Doctors have gone through Russell's run so far. We had Tennant for 1 year, 3 specials, not enough time to flesh out any character, I would argue, and his Doctor at times suffered. It felt like they were speeding up sort of writing beats for him. All at once, they said, oh, he's got this face because he's tired. That wasn't set up at all in the specials. It just sort of came out of left field in his final episode. So just when you're sort of getting used to Tennant being back, he's gone. Then you have your new guy, Ncuti, 2 series, 2 years on screen. And then he's gone.
Yeah.
And now we could possibly have somebody again for a year or 2 at most. She's clearly not going to do a long-term gig, and I don't blame her.
One episode,
like I said, 2, let's see. But then that's not a long time. So you're just getting used to her, or whatever she's going to be, and she's gone. There's no stability as in your lead here.
Unfortunately, our only stability is this guy. I'm a big Russell T Davies fan. Historically, everybody knows that. I think I've never been shy in saying that. I placed a great deal of faith in him over a long period and thought creatively they may get there. And it simply wasn't the case, was it? Russell T Davies needs to either step back or step away completely. Somebody has stepped away this week. We talked about this a little on the Monday show on the early edition because the story was just breaking. We now have, of course, confirmation from his own Instagram account that Andy Pryor, who's been on Doctor Who as well as all over all manner of shows for 2 decades, has now left. He said this on Instagram. It's 21 years since Julie Gardner asked me to come aboard for a show that had been tucked away in the TV history cupboard. It's been an amazing ride. Joy, tears, and a whole lot of the best kind of hassle. He names his friends, Russell T Davies, Jane Tranter, Phil Collinson, always been the best, adored with working with Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall, possibly the 2 nicest men in the world. He follows it, though. He ends with the most inclusive show I've ever been a part of, which for me is hugely important. The Doctor should be everything and everyone. Let's just keep repeat the mantra. Make sure you get that message out there, Andy. Let's see what happens next. Yes? What happens next? This is like a rat deserting a sinking ship. And I use the word rat.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's someone walking away from a building that, is sort of going, look, mate, the house is on fire. That it's in cinders now. Look, the whole top floor's gone. I'm just gonna go.
This dude's choices and the people that he's pushed into roles they simply weren't suited for has been a massive part of the house fire in the first place. And quite honestly, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, he doesn't just work. He didn't just work. He didn't just work on Doctor Who. This is Andy Pryor is an industry giant. Fair enough. Decades of work, very well respected. But his instincts on this and his ideology, the things that have been powering his choices, have partly led this show to this place because it is, for the most part, wokeism has largely killed off Doctor Who. And this guy is as woke as fuck.
I usually agree with you, but I sort of have to disagree on that. I don't think that's necessarily true. I blame the writing more than anything. Okay. Yeah,
it's been written woke. It's been written with woke. This time, Chris, I feel that
it's definitely it's definitely been written to pander to certain,
right at the forefront of his mind.
Yeah. It's definitely been written to pander to certain audiences and certainly key words, almost like saying, look at us, see, we're woke, we're with it, But then at the same time counters it. I mean, there's it's like his Russell's attempt to try and show, look how progressive I am, and then he'll do something later in the same episode or another episode which completely undoes the point that he makes. And
quite right.
But so that's why I think the writing,
I think it's
not the past.
Right, you're quite right. It's an important distinction to make. But obviously, Pryor being a casting guy, and the last two Doctors have been horrendously miscast. He campaigned for both of them, and so I feel that we have to fire a lot of that
Castro Martin as well.
in his direction. I mean, he is responsible for some fantastic people too. People like Freeman
I'll
Agyeman,
agree to disagree on that, but carry on.
Billy Piper in the first place. You know, I like all those people. Obviously, Karen Gillan, I understand he was a big advocate for her as well. So it's not that I don't think that his involvement was initially wrong, but I do think, like a great many people, that eventually, over time, he's become consumed by the same arrogance, entitlement, inflated ego that has sadly taken down Russell T Davies, in my view.
I think my feeling is probably that just about everybody that's sort of been at the top of the managerial level on the show for the past 3 or 4 years since Bad Wolf, Russell T Davies, etc. came back on board, I think they're all to blame. And the reason, I think they're all equally to blame. And I think you can see that in the rhetoric that was coming out before season 1 that turned so many people off. You know, I barely dare mention touching grass, but those kinds of things, that attitude clearly sort of pervaded the entire production. And it's that's brought this ship down. They are all guilty, because truth be told, somebody like, I don't know, Julie Gardner, Jane Tranter could have reeled Davis and Gatwa in and said, yeah, correct. They could have reeled them in and said, no, what are you doing here? Stop. You're in danger of derailing the train here. And they presumably didn't, or maybe they did. And by that point, Davis just wasn't prepared to listen. Don't know, whatever. We don't know. We can only speculate, and I'm not going to speculate. I'm not saying what I think has happened here. I'm just saying that they are all, I think, to blame for what's derailed this show.
So do we think this is a sign that basically that over the next couple of weeks and months we're going to see a lot of people depart?
Yes, I think so.
That would to do with Bad Wolf and this.
There are rumours already, Charlotte, that Murray Gold may be going. I mean, he's given different statements that he intends on staying, intends on going. So I don't know what to believe anymore.
I'm with you on that, Chris. Oh, I shan't sleep tonight.
My God, some of the choice. There's one bit in here, you didn't see it, Simon, but there's one bit where, I'm not even joking, this is an actual line of dialogue, and it's said by Kate Stewart.
I love Kate Stewart.
In a way, I think we're all your children.
Don't.
And then a massive crescendo of music just kicks in, and then it cuts to their reactions, and it looks like none of them are giving any acting at all for these cutaways. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Was that before or after the hug fest?
I think that was after.
At any point.
That's
but
just
it was
babble.
It was so bad. But Murray's music has just not been. I don't know why he came. I get why he came back for the Tennant specials, but I wish he didn't stay on.
I agree.
Because after he got to 2017, it was a kind of, everyone was saying, you kind of done your stuff. You know, it's time for a new blood.
New blood with everything, with all of this. We needed new blood,
and that's the other thing that also has made me question the whole Bad Wolf team, is that some of the company that's kept as a part of it, it's very much a gatekeep, a clique there, where, you know, Russell is keeping the closest people that, you know, agree with him.
It's understandable, isn't it, Chris? When you've
there is a script editor.
When you have,
do you know there's a script editor?
Yes, it's Scott Hancock.
I don't know what they do. I don't know if they just put the
same.
scripts in the.
They
just put
just
the
sort of
plastic on
nod.
top. I don't know.
Nod at Russell T Davies. There's a lot to be said for the fact, if you've got a well-oiled machine and a team that works well together, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. All that kind of thing. But that doesn't seem to be the case with whatever's been happening here over the last 2 or 3 years. That's not been the case, and so I think we're right to criticise in the way that we are.
The only thing that has worked this season was a few of the guest-written episodes. They have been much stronger than Russell's efforts, and it's nice that we've had a couple from different people, but it's still friends of Russell, and I feel that that's where the show is. It's sort of kept close in, like only I could be trusted with the show. Only I could be trusted, because I brought it back. I saved it. It was going to go if Bad Wolf didn't take it over, and but now it's.
I just think it's so ironic. I do think it's so ironic, Chris, that basically Russell T Davies is known as the person who saved Doctor Who in 2005, and now he's forever going to be remembered as the man who killed Doctor Who. The irony is bitter.
Yeah,
but there.
Strangely enough, Simon, it could have. Yeah. Strange enough, it could have been worse. At the time, I was cross about it. Now I think I'm quite pleased that Susan didn't actually turn up in the end.
Oh, so that was it.
Anyway,
yes,
that was only in one episode.
Susan didn't appear at all. Although it's
2 episodes.
It's suspected that she did record for this episode, but whatever they did to change it, removed her. But she's not in it at all.
Here's the thing that I realized after we did the Saturday show really is baffling to me. If they decided 8 weeks ago that they were going to do that they were going to go with the regeneration and the new edit, that was more than enough time, and they realized that they were not going to pay off the Susan appearance in the new finale. That was more than enough time to go clip those couple minutes of scenes from the Interstellar, the music episode, since it wasn't going to pay off.
Yeah,
they should have just trimmed those scenes from that episode. They had more than enough time.
Well, the problem is, Gary, if we'd ever found out further down the line that Carol Ann Ford had shot scenes that were then edited out, we would never have forgiven them. I think it's an unwinnable. I hear what you're saying. I think it's an unwinnable situation. They've painted themselves into a corner, or they had painted themselves into a corner. And truth be told, I think they were damned if they did, and they were damned if they didn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? They didn't know what they were doing. Clearly, they didn't know why they were putting Carol Ann Ford or the character in there. It was lip service.
Here's the thing: the rumor is, though, even if they did go with that original ending, we don't know for sure. But the original rumor is that she was just going to be used as a cliffhanger anyway for series 3. That basically...
I found out a little bit more about that since the last conversation that we had. So that's something I'm following up on at the moment.
What Carol Ann Ford would say.
Understandably, this is kind of the talk on the fandom at the moment. But speaking of the talk of the fandom, I think it is time that we head over to the live chat and see what everybody else has got to say about all of this extraordinary week in Doctor Who, where everybody is talking about it for the wrong reasons, and everybody's sort of frozen.
Don, what on earth's happened?
Nothing.
It's about Billy, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
very clever.
That's amazing.
So patient, well timed indeed. And we've got people in the live chat here throwing in their bit and piece there while we've been rambling on for nearly an hour. Thank you everybody so much for waiting. David Mullen, hi David. He says Andy Pryor leaving is a good thing, I feel. Well, if he doesn't want to be there, it is a good. This man has a great career behind him, a good track record, lots and lots of shows. I don't wish to be rude or cruel, but I think he'd be pretty open about the fact that he's really, really woke, and he's absolutely anybody who's been involved in Doctor Who for all this time, to the point where they keep sending the same people up for different jobs, they probably need to move on. We've got Mike in the live chat as well. We have Mysterious is also in the live chat too. We've got lots of familiar names as well, including Vanessa Law, who says Russell T Davies killed off Omega and the Rani. What a putz. I love the word putz. I'm not sure where it's from exactly, but I do love it. I always associate it with the film Grease, Gary. The film Grease.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes. Very good, Vanessa.
Let's see.
We have Ian Scales in the live chat who says the BBC surely don't want to seem to back down on this or seem to fail on the woke stuff of the last day. It's as if they have to follow through the program to its eventual conclusion, and it cannot be abandoned under any circumstances. Otherwise, that's to admit failure, to admit that that they were wrong. Alfie Jack suggests reset, relaunch, don't number the Doctor, and just ignore all of this. It's not a bad strategy.
Yeah,
Gary, not a bad strategy at all.
That's what I'm hoping for.
It can't happen overnight, though. It won't happen overnight.
Very true.
No,
I think it's the
well,
best we can probably hope for.
That's the thing people are speculating. It's like, well, maybe we can get another deal, get another series in. I think personally it's going to be a long struggle, and quietly and surely they won't get to make the next series they want to make, and the show will eventually just be shelved until a far future point where someone has a go like Russell did. And that's why I find it a bit arrogant that Russell put Billie Piper's face at the end rather than leave it open-ended. We all suspected.
See, I think that was just an FU thing as well.
That limits the jump-on point in the future.
It was far bigger. I don't think it was anything as superficial or as silly as an FU. They were in a desperate situation. It's supposed to be a world-class series. They knew they couldn't just slip away.
Going. But their series going.
We've got Mike, who's joined us in the live chat with a different take, everybody. He's watching on YouTube and said, I thought it was set up brilliantly. Russell T Davies at his absolute best, threaded wonderfully. Maybe a rewatch is needed. Has anybody on the panel been tempted to go back and rewatch this? All joking apart.
No.
I've got to be honest, I haven't. I can't seem to get there, Chris.
No, the finale's killed it for me. I mean, yes, you have some good episodes, but it's because it does build up. And Belinda, and I don't think we haven't talked about that yet, but her character was completely useless by the end, destroyed. In fact, it was a terrible thing. In fact, I was sitting with my wife. My wife said, if I was cast as Belinda and my role was just turned into a mum at the end, just like that, out of the blue, which is what had happened, which was never hinted before. She never had a daughter at the beginning. It's like they just made it up at the end. And
but Chris, you just need some reshoots and to add some scenes.
Yeah, but I mean, who remembers what happened? Oh yes, flashbacks, which she likes to do. In fact, they ended up, Simon, they put new flashbacks in that weren't in the
explain
episode.
the plot.
Yeah.
One of the things I liked about the character was her maternal quality, but even so, that's still a world away from where we ended up. Anthony Parkinson suggests we're back in Bertie Bassett territory with the show now, and whereas Paul Thomas Ashworth is simply scratching his head and asking, why is Billie Piper's lips and mouth larger than her head? I think that's more a genetic thing than a special effects thing. She's got a unique look, Billie. Very, very beautiful.
She's been busy.
A very beautiful lady. Very beautiful lady. Don't be harsh.
Can the next Doctor stop shooting energy from his hand? Asks Josh H. It's her.
What was wrong with them lying on the floor and just glowing?
Writhing around?
Oh, I loved that. I loved Regeneration.
I don't like this whole, I'm going to set my arms up like a 3D poser animation.
But my personal theory is that they had him stand at the door, and I'm being serious. They had him stand at the door and shoot the regeneration energy out like a star because normally, he stays in the TARDIS, the whole interior gets destroyed. And I'm thinking they've got to preserve the interior because without the Disney money, they're not going to be able to afford to build a new
another one.
Yeah.
So they needed to keep this one intact.
Mike is clearly a big fan of Billie Piper, and I'm not going to knock you for that, Mike. And this is Type 40, where all opinions are always welcome here on the panel and in the live chat too. Austin Woods says, if Billie Piper had a better agent that have told her this is not a good move, no pay, no serious. I think Billie's at the point now. I mean, she gave an interview recently, I think it was to Vanity Fair, where she talked about how she doesn't really like to work too much. Precisely because of the things that you said, Charlotte, because of family life and getting a bit older and a decent quality of life. She knows she doesn't need to work to take a show that's going to take her out for 9 or 10 months and away from her family. She doesn't need to do that anymore. So you do wonder, because some actors at that kind of level, if they could have a word with their agent and say, look, I really want to do this. I want to help these people out. They've been good to me. I want to be good to them. It's not much to ask for them to just crop my head into some dopey bit of video. We've got, Mike adds, my pronouns are not subscribed. Well, maybe Mike will win your subscription this time. Thank you so much for the comments. Hello, all, says Paul. We've got Marine Boy in the live chat as well. And Domgo says, Shooty, you are pants. Please go away quickly. Not a fan. Not a fan. Craig is in the live chat as well. Craig Lightower says, BBC are farming out Casualty, are they? And no chance they'd afford Doctor Who now. I didn't know they were taking Casualty independent. I know somebody works on Casualty. I didn't know that. Interesting. And Lord Thoth says, one of our dedicated, loyal, and much appreciated moderators says, I agree. It was a last desperate act before Russell T Davies got fired. Well, the worrying thing is nobody can fire him.
No, it's technically his property at the moment.
Well, it all depends on. We still don't really know the minutiae of the contracts that was between the BBC and Bad Wolf. We don't know. Who can say? There might be a get-out clause. We don't know.
Or they might just wait it out. The BBC, like, I think we know roughly they should have it till, was it 2029? I can't remember. Sort of the deal roughly got spoke about how many years Bad Wolf have got the production. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the BBC are just thinking, let's just the sort of hiatus we're all suspecting is going to happen now. Maybe that's why they're doing it. They're just saying we can't fire him, so we'll just spend 2 or 3 years off the air, wait for these contracts to run out. Maybe, I don't know.
Liven's Flame has reminded us they've rejuvenated Doctor Who by killing it in less than 20 episodes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. Russell T Davies will forever be known probably as the person who killed Doctor Who. Well done.
Trust in Russell T Davies, insists Mike. You'll not find a bigger cheerleader for Russell in the past than me, Mike. I've loved his work inside and outside of Doctor Who, but the guy's dropped not just a bollock, he's dropped both this time. It really is. The game is up. We've got double.
That's what's so disappointing. It's so disappointing because he's such a good writer. When you look at things like It's a Sin, or even The Second Coming and other things, even the previous Doctor Who's he's done. So I feel like
compulsive viewing, Chris.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why it's so disappointing and hard hitting. How could this be the same guy who's come back and he's got such an ego about him, and it's just actually kind of painful and heartbreaking to think that when we put a lot of trust in him and thought, who else could bring Doctor Who back after this time, for a second running, and it's been awful.
Melon Rattler adds, we need the entire creative team gutted, insert some fresh blood, some new ideas, someone with a bottle to retcon everything. Well, I agree with the first part. I think the first part is non-negotiable, but he suggests that someone with a bottle to retcon everything post-Capaldi and start from there. No. I could definitely live with that, but I can see why there could be people out there who would find that rebarbative, and I get that. But generally speaking, I can't argue with everything you said earlier on. And the gentleman in the chat, I can't remember who it was who said that, just pick up from whenever. You don't even have to number the Doctor. Just pick up with a new actor whenever in the future. That's the beauty of the show. Just almost forget. You don't even need a shower and a dream sequence to climb out of. We just pick it up when we pick it up.
We saw that in 2005. It hit the ground running in 2005. It just started. There was no explanation. There was no regeneration. There was nothing. We just started. And that's what I honestly believe will happen in this case. I've been saying for about a year now that Series 3 will not happen. I've been saying this for a year, if not more, that Series 3, I guaranteed, I put my neck on the line, and I said, Series 3 will not happen. And I still stand by that. Clearly, it certainly is not going to happen anytime soon. I'll give it a good couple of years. And I honestly think what will happen here, you might be right that they might be sort of just sitting out the contract now until it defaults from Bad Wolf. But I think what will happen is we'll never see Billie Piper again in Doctor Who. I think they will hit the ground running with an entirely new Doctor, an entirely new team, just like they did in 2005, but it'll be a good few years before it happens, and I'll call that now. I'll put my neck on the line again with that now.
Jess
No, I
is
agree
here
with
with
you.
some stats and says that Doctor Who producer, Bad Wolf has increased its profits by 49% despite a drop in revenue year on year. Well, Doctor Who isn't the only thing they make, to be fair, and they have sold Doctor Who onto a pretty big market, even if it hasn't ultimately delivered, and we're not privy to all the ins and outs of all of that. But there are several Bad Wolf shows that are reputable, popular, and decorated too, deservedly winning awards. Up until this, I don't think they'd ever had a series that, at the very least, wasn't a populist hit, if not something that had got rave reviews. A Discovery of Witches, his Dark Materials. Nobody thought they'd be able to pull off his Dark Materials. I don't think that Philip Pullman believed they could pull it off, but they absolutely did. And there's several other shows, dramas, comedies. They were. There's a reason why they're the biggest independent, I think, in the British Isles now, or homegrown independent, because of this fantastic track record until now. And of all the shows to get up with, to do it with Doctor Who, people aren't going to forget this, Charlotte.
Well, yeah, and what I find interesting right now, a lot of sort of the fire I'm seeing online and a lot of the sort of the feeling, it's squarely on Russell, which is completely right. It should all be on Russell because
he's the showrunner.
His decisions, his writing, his sort of want to make this show just for the internet. He has said this in interviews. He's made it very clear. He's just doing stuff for YouTube, for content, as he refers to it.
This is the danger in showboating like this, Charlotte. Usually I'd say it shouldn't just come back on one man, but in this instance, I have to say he kind of deserves everything that he's getting.
Yeah, so he's sort of the face and the name that all the failure is being attached to right now. Actually, Bad Wolf, I'm not seeing a lot of people go against Bad Wolf as a company, as a production. It's all on Russell.
Well, that's because he's posited himself like that, Charlotte.
Yep. Oh, no, but... Oh no! I'm saying this could be a good thing for Bad Wolf because
could be.
Have you noticed Julie's never been doing press for this?
She's not said anything for months.
I know she did some stuff when they first got the Doctor Who gig, and she was there at some events, but she's been nowhere near as present as you would think for a name like her, for somebody who's got the track record of herself. And then you've got Julie.
She's trying to distance herself, maybe.
Well, this is now, I've been thinking about this. Maybe those two, Julie and Jane, have sort of gone, let's just step back.
Yeah, you're on your own.
And let a certain somebody take all the attention. So then when they do whatever they produce next, it can sort of be seen as this is
nothing to do with us.
This is Bad Wolf. It's not Russell. It's not, do you know, that sort of vibe? It's sort of a theory I've had in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, could be right. And as I say, he's posited himself as the main man. He wanted it. He wanted all the glory. He's got it. As you say, Dan, he deserves everything that's coming to him.
I'm afraid so. It's these are not good times. I mean, you could say it's good times for quality TV if it's going to force it in a big rethink. But again, Simon, how many times have we said it? Whether it's working or not, the BBC themselves have no idea what they're doing with Doctor Who. And so unless there's a massive cultural change, I don't know whether they need to start listening to just other creatives, bring in more people. I think regrettably Russell T Davies is a spent force, and things desperately need to change. Marco Polo is here in the live chat and says the ending was solely to get attention for the show. I agree. And to act as a two fingers to the audience as the production team walk out of the door. I don't agree with that.
I don't think it was that.
Grab for
it's desperation.
It's desperate to try to ensure that they can do more.
Yeah,
and they think Billie Piper will be any more successful than David Tennant was.
I think it's more of I think it's more of an effort than an FU. Let's just say that. It's just like they would do it, you know.
For right or wrong, they were at least trying to do the right thing and just keep the show going. But I don't think it was a two fingers up to the audience. I don't think.
No,
I don't think they intended to make it. They don't. To be honest, they don't intend to make it bad. They've never. No showrunners ever decided that ever. I mean,
It
when
just
they made
happens
Silver
by
Daleks,
accident.
Let's make magic. You know, they thought it'd be a wonderful 25th anniversary special. It wasn't that great, but you know, they wanted to try, and that's the main point. Is that you know, they do want it to succeed. They don't want the show to be cancelled. But then when you sort of have to look at the response it's had and so on, and you just think that maybe, Russell, it's time just to. This gamble hasn't worked. It's not the Disney. People are blaming Disney for this. It's nothing to do with Disney.
No, nothing
Except
at all.
Disney helped save it from cancellation. If anything, that's my.
They were sold as much of a turkey as the rest of us, and now we're all left in the crater.
It obviously they invested. They expected it to take off. They thought, you know, a British MCU type of thing would occur here, but obviously it hasn't, and it's not paid off, which is a shame. But I think there's no way about it. We're in a hiatus now because there's no guarantee another series is happening, and
I think the difference is this. Even. Yeah, I think the difference this time is it won't be announced. We're not going to get an announcement like we did in 85 or 80.
They won't say, they won't say it's been cancelled.
No, not in the slightest.
It'll be year on year. Doctor Who hasn't returned yet.
It'll just drift away
after a point.
The you know what has definitely hit the fan, everybody, and we are here on Type 40 Live, whatever the weather, to pick our way through all of that on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Thank you everybody for all the comments so far. If you want more of our coverage of the earlier parts of finale week, there was our big live stream, our instant reactions. Within about 10 minutes of it finishing, we were there directly on YouTube with our instant reactions to the reality war there. You can see that how pain faces play out in real time, Gary. It's an evening I don't think I'll ever forget, Gary, and that I shared it with you.
Well, no, and we were all kind of shell-shocked, you know, but we were still able to be somewhat coherent and make a lot of good points for a couple of hours.
Yeah, maybe near enough. And while you're at it, catch my little rant there, my short video, my thoughts on Dr. Billy and this inexplicable move for my favorite TV show and probably yours as well. Not only that, you can catch the Type 40 podcast across all major podcatchers, the Audibles, the Spotifys, all those places, and at our home feed at type40.podbean.com. But yeah, this is Type 40 Live, where we are sort of refreshed, replenished, restocked, bolstered by being able to share with friends here on the panel and with everybody out there in the live chat as well. Thank you so much. If there's anybody tempted to go and watch it, go and rewatch it. You know, Mike says we probably go and rewatch this. Maybe I will, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot more will.
I'm sure they'll appreciate it getting to 3 million views in 28 days. Yes.
Hey, it is the case that when your viewers are this low, every little really does count, doesn't it? Look, we're gonna head off. We're gonna head off now in the direction. It's somewhere down there of the food machine to get a couple of bites in. In the meantime, though, this is the bit where you're going to get entertained even more by golden voices and golden faces from Doctor Who's long and distinguished past. Some of our legends flogging us all manner of everyday household tat way back in the pre-Amazon days. It's a Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes. Check these out.
Ready?
Almost.
Relax. You're doing fine.
You're not doing so bad yourself.
I assure you it's all down to good investment. Have you used Friends Provident?
Friends Provident? I'm not in that league. Still saving.
They could help you do that too. Look, you should see a specialist.
Oh?
It's only my financial advisor.
Friends Provident.
Of course.
We've grown big by being recommended.
There are 2 ways to get your hair Vosine clean: original and frequent wash herbal, with the fresh smell of alpine herbs.
Mum's chatting up the milkman again.
We've all got someone we like to have nice clean hair for, haven't we?
Vosine.
This is the house of Mr. Men and Doctor Who. Come on through, speaks Mr. Men and Doctor Who have something new. Collect the stencils. They're fun to trace. There's 2 in every pack. Streets Mr. Men, and Doctor Who have stencils just for you at supermarkets now.
Welcome back to Type 40 Live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. As always, here we are ready to get stuck into even more from the past, the present, and the future of all things Doctor Who. Are you receiving me? Are you receiving me? Are they? More to the point, are they? I think they might. Okay, let's see who's made it back in the nick of time. Yeah, who have we got? So we've got Simon Horton here. We have Gary Akers. Our guest this week is Chris Walker-Thompson. Matt Potts here too, the little animated bloke. And Charlotte Shields is here as well as ever. We've had a nice long therapy session there, picking through the rubble. That is the entire IP of Doctor Who at the moment.
I just have to say, if I was sitting there being examined by Louise Jameson looking like that, she would be asking me why my heart rate was so high.
And then she'd say, "You watched the episode, didn't you?"
You saw it too, didn't you? Yeah. Oh,
Billie Piper's face at the end will do that.
I keep seeing it in my frontal vision. That bloody
I saw someone
picture.
say it's like the promo for the new Smile film, which cracked me up.
Well, I had Sarah, our other panelist, Sarah Graham, on the phone to me yesterday, and she said it reminded her of the old TV show Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, when they got the big faces on the front. God, she's right.
Well, do you know why she said that? Because she said the same to me. It's because she does that whole weird eye roll where she's like looking, trying to work out who she is.
What's
the
going
idea.
on? Can I sell this from the neck up? She's thinking.
Yeah. And like that's what they did in Thomas the Tank Engine when like they were confused.
Hey, you know what, Charlotte? I just realized we didn't we neglected to tell Simon that during that episode that the reason that Belinda was able to be saved is that the Unit T lady, Susan Twist from last season, was able to build a zero room in the unit basement.
Oh yeah, in about 10 minutes.
To save her. Yes, she built built a zero room in the unit basement.
We could keep going. We could keep going.
And she's only a year old.
We're going to change.
I feel like we should lie and say something that isn't true, and then see if Simon believes it.
See if I actually buy it.
The next thing, we are going to move on now, but the next thing that we've got to talk about, sadly, is true, and I think we're all a little saddened to see this news. Now, there's lots of Doctor Who names and faces, just like the people in the ad break there, who are associated with the show, and they're genuine legends, and they were on the show for a number of years playing one particular dedicated character. We all know who they are. You may have queued to meet them, or you may have the poster up on your wall, or you may have grown up watching them. But there are actors and actresses too who were on the show, not just once, but twice, sometimes 3 or 4 or more times. And they become familiar faces of a different kind, and names that we see on the credits, and that when we hear them, when other fans sort of repeat them back to us, we know the name, even if we're not quite sure where from, which story, who they were, or what they did. For me, one of those names, Simon, was Prentice Hancock, who passed away this week. And I thought it would be apt for us to spend a little time paying tribute to Prentice Hancock. When I went and I satisfied my curiosity, I thought, what was it? Who was he now? And very quickly said, it's him. So who was Prentice Hancock?
I'm going to fill you in a little bit about who Prentice Hancock was. I think have we got to say goodnight before I start? Have we got to say goodbye to Chris? Are you disappearing from us, Chris?
I do sadly have to go. Yes.
I didn't realize.
We'll say goodnight to Chris. Thank you, Chris, and then
I do hope we've helped.
With the therapy session.
And it's sad to hear about Prentice Hancock, who I think played one of the biggest arseholes in Doctor Who, brilliantly.
Brilliantly.
Daleks as such.
Indeed, he did. We all do a little bit on Prentice Hancock. But thank you, Chris, and good night to you.
Come back
Thank
soon,
you
Chris.
very much for
Great to
letting
have
me
you back
get it
on the
off
show.
your chest. And sorry for talking so much.
Bye-bye.
No, take care.
Yeah, so a little bit about Prentice Hancock. Yeah, we were all saddened to learn this earlier on in the week. I always think Prentice Hancock just had one of the most amazing faces on television. He just had such a memorable face. He was born, his full name was Walter Prentice Hancock, and he was born on the 14th of May 1942 in Glasgow in Scotland. So he's a Scottish lad. He didn't begin his acting career until further down the line, because he started studying architecture. He was originally going to be he wanted to be an architect, and he realized it didn't quite work out, and that was when he began to get a love for acting, and that was when he went to he enrolled at the Rose Bruford Theatre School in London, and that was where he learned his craft. And his TV debut came in 1969 with Dr. Finlay's Casebook, which is gosh, that goes back a few years now. So yeah, that was his very first television appearance as a big part in Dr. Finlay's Casebook. He became a regular face on television in Spy Trap, which was a 1972 series in which he starred with Julian Glover. Of course, we know Julian Glover far better from Doctor Who days with in the likes of City of Death and The Crusades. But as the photo that Dan you had up a couple of moments ago, that is how most people remember Prentice Hancock, is as Paul Morrow in season 1. There we go.
Yep.
Of do you remember this, Gary?
I do. He was the second in command to Martin Landau, right? Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. Yes, he was the second in command, he took a very major role in Space in 1999, season 1, but never returned for season 2. And allegedly, he was never told why he didn't come back for season 2. He played, as I say, a reasonably major role in season 1. He was the second in command to Koenig, that we can see there, and he just apparently he never found out why he wasn't asked back for season 2. There were other faces that did not come back in season 2. Some of them left because they were not happy with the direction the show was going in. But from what I can understand, Prentice Hancock did not choose to leave the show. He just never came back. He did. Often when we talk in the diary about sort of some of these very well-known actors, we talk about, I'll say about, the list of credits on IMDb is as long as my arm. Whereas actually, Prentice Hancock, the list of credits is about that long. It's surprisingly few. He's one of those people that we know very well from kind of prominent roles, but actually he didn't do an enormous amount of stuff. That being said, he still did plenty of very, very well-known stuff. Dixon of Dock Green, Colditz. He was in the New Avengers. He was in Survivors, the Terry Nation show, Return of the Saint, Minder. I can remember him in Minder. He was in The Professionals. He was in Bergerac. You can see the way this is going. There is a kind of he carved himself a niche out in the kind of shows that he appeared in. He was also, you're going to love this one, Gary. He was also in the late 1970s version of Famous Five alongside Gary Russell, in which he rather memorably played a character called Dirty Dick. But probably the least said about that is the better.
Don't say anything, Matt.
Needs to call their agent.
So, but of course,
good boy, Beauty.
But of course, as we of course as Doctor Who fans know him and love him for 4 appearances in Doctor Who. Of course, Chris mentions just now arguably his most memorable performance, which is top right of your screens at the moment, and that is playing Weber, who was the hothead sort of second in command in a way to Bernard Horsfall's Taron, and that's in the Planet of the Daleks. And as I say, he was kind of the second in command there. But he was very hot-headed and very, I mean, you can see from the expression on his face there, he was, Taron played the very reasonable and reasoning commander, and Weber was definitely the man who wanted action and didn't think Taron was going far enough, and sadly ended up getting himself exterminated for his efforts because he was just a little bit, well, let's say a bit of a hothead. His first performance there, which is top left, is playing Jimmy, who was Jimmy is not actually he's never called Jimmy on screen, but that is his name. He's known as a reporter in the end credits of Spearhead from Space, in case you're trying to work out what story that's from. He plays a reporter in the when all hell breaks loose in Spearhead from Space. He's one of the reporters. Just a small part there, but still very memorable. And again, it's that face. He's just got such a memorable face. His final appearance, I'm going to jump to, was as the Shreve captain in the Rivas operation in the late 70s. He was the Shreve captain, which meant that he was the one who was guarding the crown jewels in Sher on the planet Rebos. So there we go. So again, not an enormous part, but I mean, just look at him there. He just makes this part his own.
Do you need Simon? Do you need an enormous part with an enormous hat like that?
Well, his name was Dirty Dick.
he's just, again, as I say, to me, it's just down to the face. It's the expression. He just had one of those faces. My personal favorite performance by Prentice Hancock is as Controller Salamar in Planet of Evil. Now there we go. Now that's because I just remember this story so well. I grew up with John Pertwee, so I very much remember seeing vaguely Planet of the Daleks, but only vaguely. I was only very young. Whereas by the time Planet of Evil came around a couple of years later, by this point, I was absolutely obsessed by Doctor Who. And I can still remember watching an episode of Planet of Evil round at my friend's house on a birthday party. Those were the days when you used to go out as little kids. How old was I? Well, I was about 7, something like that. Yeah. And we went to a birthday party and we all sat around and watched Planet of Evil and were just terrified by it. And so my memory of Prentice Hancock in that is very, very strong, and for me, this is my personal favorite performance of his. I just think he's just so commanding.
I can't really. I remember him more in the other stories for some reason. I don't know why, but Gary's there nodding.
You know why? Because when I first was watching Tom Baker, it was in the rotation of the first 4 seasons, so I saw Planet of Evil over and over and over again. And I think stories where a character starts out like in command and then disintegrates throughout his mental, disintegrates throughout the course of the episode is always sticks in my mind more.
I think as well it sticks because Tom, like the fun of that story in bits of it is how he's just messing with this crew. Like he's sort of seeing how far he can push them, seeing how he can sort of annoy them enough that they'll sort of let him do what he wants. So you have this really fun sort of tug of war almost on screen between this character and Tom. It's like, who's the actual one in charge here? Is it the Doctor?
You're right.
Yeah.
And of course it appears to be the Doctor because they are so far out of their depth. And you're right, Charlotte. I love the fact that Tom is playing it very flippantly through a lot of this, whereas Prentice Hancock is absolutely playing this dead straight. He is straight down the middle. He is so focused. Look, that steely expression, and so it creates. What Prentice Hancock, I think, did so well was he played steely. He played serious very, very well. And you're right, Charlotte, that then just bounces beautifully off Tom Baker's flippancy. It just works nicely.
And also like how Tom was so physical at times with it. Like that scene when like they try and put the Doctor in a room to sort of just put him in a room, get him out the way, and then Tom's sort of just having fun, like I said, and just seeing how he can use the scarf and his sort of movement to just sort of say, well, I'm more of a nuisance technically next to you than being put in a room, so let me just come out and I'll just it's funny. That's what I love about the story.
And it just makes Prentice Hancock's character look even more ridiculous and stupid and out of control.
For some bizarre reason, Simon, the line that sticks with me throughout from that entire story is as his nerves are starting to disintegrate and he's kind of losing it, that Wyszynski, who's the older guy, who's the second in command, at one point he says, "Keep your nerves, Shalimar," whatever. And that line stuck with me for decades. I don't know why.
Well, I think it's because you just see this character, Shalimar, is just unraveling, as you say. He clearly is out of control. He doesn't understand what he should be doing. He's way out of his depth. He's in over his head. And that's, as I say, what I think Prentice Hancock plays very, very well. And in a way, it's a very similar character to Weber in Planet of the Daleks. Again, it's just this hot-headed, out of control, loose cannon of a character. That's what Weber is in Planet of the Daleks, just very much a loose cannon, and Prentice Hancock just played it well. And as I say, I know I keep saying this, to me it comes down to his face. He's got one of those faces, bless him. He wouldn't be cast these days because he's not good looking enough. Do you know what I mean? He's just got a very characterful face. And that's what I love about these character actors. They've got those sort of faces that you don't have to be a handsome pin-up matinee idol all the time.
I think like this sort of like style of actor, they had very distinct faces, like you said.
Yeah.
So even if they're technically playing another part,
yes,
the people who sort of like us, who sort of watch the show in this way and get sort of notice stuff, we go, oh, it's that fellow who was this character last episode, but he's got a different name now.
Correct.
The face sort of makes you go, oh, I know you.
Now you've said that.
Whereas often these days characters look very similar. Go on, sorry, Dan.
Now you've said that, I've recently been watching a series which I've really enjoyed, a Sky produced thing that's up on one of the streaming things now called 1,000 Blows. It's not what you think. It's clean. But it's about boxing. It's about boxing, and it's set in Victorian times. It's by the makers of Peaky Blinders, and it's really earthy and gritty, Matt. And the fight scenes are very, very visceral, and there's shit all over the floor, and the buildings are all falling down. The production values are outstanding, but all through it, something was niggling away at me. And there's a lot of character parts in it. The main one played by Stephen Graham, isn't it? Who plays this sort of rough and tough boxer. But I was thinking of all the characters. I thought, why isn't this? It's not as convincing as it would be, not as immersive. And I worked out just what it is after what you've just been saying, because every single person in it, from the lead actors, who you expect to be pretty striking and memorable people, but right down to people working in the pubs or just playing beggars in the street, are all ridiculously good looking. They've got maybe crap smeared on their faces, or they've got a funny hat on, but you can tell they've all got perfect. There's just something about it. They're all beautifully picked by tools like Andy Bloody Pryor, no doubt. So there's no one like this. There's no one like Prentice Hancock.
No, and it just simply doesn't happen so much these days, because you do tend to find that generally actors and actresses are generally good looking, whereas back certainly in the 70s, it just didn't count for anything. They didn't worry about it. They cast, well, let's be honest, they cast good actors. They cast them for their talent rather than worried about whether they got pin-up good looks. So to me, it makes it so much more realistic. And genuine and believable, and again, it's the same as Space 1999. I loved 19. Did anybody else love 1999? Yeah, you loved it
since I was a tiny kid.
I have watched it recently because it's all now out on Blu-ray, and if you are remotely into 1999, I cannot recommend those Blu-rays highly enough.
They look some of the stories.
Yeah, some of the stories are great, Matt.
Oh, they're really, really good. I was really, really impressed by some of the stories.
Had you seen it at the time, Matt?
And I've never ever seen. No. I saw them later when they did come out on Blu-ray. But some of the stories, I was like, I hadn't, and before or after or since, seen anything like those stories. Some of those stories haven't been repeated by other
shows,
the
series.
It was never massively repeated in the UK, to be honest. But the Blu-rays, as I say, are just utterly magnificent, and I highly recommend them to anyone. Go and if you've never seen 1999, just go and discover it for the first time. You won't be disappointed.
If you like model work at all, it's a must watch. It has the most gorgeous. I mean, the Eagle is probably got to be up there, like in the top 5 most iconic sci-fi.
Gary, I agree 100%. I think it is one of the most iconic.
Have you seen it, Charlotte?
No, it's sort of that, and there's like a group of shows that everybody says I need to watch.
Give it a go. There's only 26 episodes, Charlotte. That's all there is. Just 26 episodes.
Yeah,
only 2 series. Only 2
I
series.
haven't seen it since I was very, very small, but I've recently bought the Blu-rays and I can't wait to watch them.
Oh, you will enjoy it. And there's some great actors in them, of course. You know, you've got Christopher Lee, you've got Peter Cushing, you've got Peter Duncan. I mean, who thought Peter Duncan? Peter Duncan, the Blue Peter presenter, ended up in there at one point. But it's a great series, thoroughly enjoyable. And I'm always amused by
lots of people in the live chat agree with you, Simon. They're talking up Space 1999 for Charlotte and me who haven't seen it.
It was a showcase very much for Prentice Hancock in the way that he took some memorable roles in Doctor Who, but very much he's much more of a star in 1999. Even though I always think he looks just like a 70s porn star with that moustache.
That works for him though.
He just does, but no. As I say, great actor. I always found him nothing short of interesting to watch and enjoyable. He always brought his A game, and sadly missed. And so, we say goodnight to dear old Prentice Hancock. Another one sadly gone. Another one gone.
Lots of fans in the live chat of Prentice Hancock and Space 1999, and obviously this man made a big contribution in those smaller parts. And each time I go back and see the classic stories now, whenever we talk about an actor or an actress or somebody from the production team like this, it does always make me look at those credits that little bit differently. So rest in peace, Prentice Hancock.
Yeah. It's the gift that's just going to keep on giving, isn't it? Let's be honest.
You know what? He's getting some kind of perverse pleasure out of this. I think I've realized now.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Smile.
It just is the gift that's going to keep on giving. I love it. Keep it going, Dan.
There is more. There is definitely more. Matthew Pounder was amused by that, it seems. And people are still talking up Prentice Hancock. Vanessa Law says, I think he's pretty handsome there. Handsome man. And Stephen Braddock's having a good old laugh as
he's
well.
Striking. He's striking, Vanessa. That's what he is.
Striking. We've all been struck this week as well. Dumbfounded, in fact, struck dumbfounded. Just when we thought it was all over, and when I say all over, I do mean all of this. So yes, season 2 of All New Doctor Who is all over, but there is one last production sort of tied to that's due on screen any day now. So who has been watching? Hands up, who's been watching Doctor Who Unleashed? Let's have a look. Show of hands. No. Oh dear. Well, maybe.
I'm not sure as I even knew it was still going. Is it still being on?
No, I kept forgetting all about it. So it has been on.
I could believe Doctor Who Uncensored, but that's about it.
Was it
Half-hour
actually
shows
screening?
that go
Has
with
this
each
been
episode.
screening throughout the
Yeah, it
season?
has.
I'm afraid,
Has
yes, it
it?
has. Yeah.
On what?
BBC
BBC Three?
I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, there is one more to come. It's a special hour-long episode. It's titled 20 Years in Wales. And the idea is, Simon, that this will mark the entire 2 decades of Doctor Who since it returned in 2005. That's obviously been made in Wales. It's produced by Bright Branch Media and hosted, as always, by Stefan Powell. It's going to drop first on BBC iPlayer the morning of, when is this? June the 7th. Saturday, June the 7th. That's at 6 a.m. It'll be up on the iPlayer. And then later on that day, it'll be screening on BBC Three. On BBC Three at 7 p.m. There it is, the big bright logo. So this is 20 years summed up in just an hour, so they promise. And there's a premise as well. There's a whole premise here. Synopsis says, taking a journey through the time vortex alongside an intergalactic lineup of previously confirmed doctors, companions, and showrunners. A whole hour immersed in nostalgia, sort of new nostalgia, really. The first image that was put out for this featured David Tennant and the woman of the hour, Billie Piper, looking a lot more like herself, a lot less ridiculous here in this picture. And initially it was sort of sold on the idea that the two former co-stars would be catching up and sort of reminiscing a little. But of course now, in light of what happened on screen last Saturday, it has cast a new light and brought more expectations on this. I get the impression it was actually shot quite recently, Charlotte, simply because of some of the pictures that have come out. It also seems to have been thrown together rather quickly, because Russell T Davies did say, I mean, I know that, again, the showrunners lie. Russell T Davies lies more than most. But they initially said there would be nothing to mark 20 years of New Who. And now we've got all this. It seems to me that this is effectively a sort of soft showcase for Billie Piper emerging as the new lead for the show. The obvious question is, do you think we're going to get some hints about what her involvement may be when this drops on Saturday?
It depends when this was filmed, because people were saying the Unleashed that was attached to the final episode, Billie was not mentioned once. They didn't have any sort of interview with her. They didn't do a sort of lead into, here's your new lead, here's your new face of the show. So people went, oh God, then this must have been filmed before they decided to do the last minute regeneration, that Unleashed. So if this has been filmed that early again, my logic is I don't think they will bring it up. But if it's been filmed in the last 9 weeks or whatever, which is, the rumour is that literally, obviously we don't know if this is true, but the rumour going around is that the regeneration was filmed literally in the last 9 weeks.
Yeah,
Billie's part of it.
That's what I've heard as well.
So if it's been done in that time, I think they need to address it. Because I think right now this uncertainty, because we said this on Monday, you've got official releases not confirming her as the Doctor, but you've got other press saying she's the Doctor. You've got some fans saying, yes, she is. You've got another good chunk of the fandom saying, no, there's hints, look at this, she's not the Doctor. So I think maybe if it would have gone over well, they could have kept this at this sort of unsure, sort of to get attention, to get clicks, to get discussion. But I think actually they need to come out by the point of this going out, I think more, and actually tell us, is she 16? Is she something else? So at least that can be settled and fans can then choose, are they going to give this a go?
I have to be honest, I'm not expecting a great deal because it's not on BBC One. It's still on a minority channel that not that many people watch. And I'm wondering, obviously there's plenty of other things for them to talk about, Billie Piper being such an integral part of the series' huge comeback. So many great moments, not just over series 1 and 2, where she was part of the regular cast, but her involvement over the whole Russell T Davies one original run at the time when the show was so popular. Maybe they might not want to focus on that too much after all.
Yeah, and his thing,
in case it reflects badly on the last few years.
Yeah, and his thing, I still fully think this is going to be what it says. It's going to be going through the years. Russell can sit there and congratulate himself and have everybody else pat his back, have all the doctors and all the past companions pat their showrunners on the back. It's probably going to be a lot of that, but I think even if it's just 5 minutes at the end, just tell us a title who's she playing.
I'll pretty much guarantee. Yeah, I'll guarantee, Charlotte, it won't happen. And I think the reason it won't happen is because I'm not sure at this stage that they even know what role Billy is playing, if anything. Because as I say, I'll honestly call it, I don't think Billy will ever come back into the show. I genuinely think this moment will be ignored and they'll just hit the ground running with a new Doctor in a few years' time. So they don't know. I think she was put in there, as Chris said earlier, to try and lure the public back somehow, to try and generate some interest. It's backfired on them. Clearly, it's backfired. I think they genuinely were expecting people to go, "Oh wow, I can't believe it! Suddenly, I've got to watch Doctor Who again because Billy's back." And instead, it has turned into a joke. So I think they probably realise it's backfired. I honestly don't think they really knew. I think maybe Russell T Davies had a few vague ideas in the back of his brain about, well, we could do this, we could do that. The episode clearly isn't written. Whatever happens, I would virtually guarantee there is no script out there for the next episode.
No,
as a result, nothing will be set in stone. And also, they'll be having to keep their powder dry a little bit, because if Disney have gone and are no longer part of the deal, they've got to lure a new partner back on. Well, that is going to require some really careful negotiations, and so the new partner might be sort of saying, "Well, no, we don't want to go down that route that you've come up with. That Billie Piper is going to be X, Y, or Z."
Right.
So no, I'm sorry, we're not interested in that particular. So they're simply not. I don't think they're going to be from a knowing the industry. I just don't think they're going to be in a position, unfortunately, to give you that assurance. And I think ultimately, Charlotte, and this is what I think you're hinting at, that will do some harm again to the brand, because you're quite right when you say people kind of need to know that in a way. They need to have some sort of idea of where it's going, because otherwise you're beginning to feel cheated again. I can tell you what you're not going to be cheated out of, because this show is it's full of names and faces. So they say Stefan Powell there, he's the guy who's always in different shackets. He's going to be joined by a host. To be honest, I don't really know. I think it comes from BBC Radio or something like that, or local TV. But it says he's the presenter. Joined by that's right. He's going to be joined by a host, a cast of creatives, and who have played a part in bringing the show back, including past Doctors David Tennant and Jodie Whittaker. So Russell T Davies is obviously going to be there, but you don't groan, because you're also getting Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall, TV's very worst showrunner, there present. David Tennant's going to be there. Jodie Whittaker's going to be involved, and so is Ncuti Gatwa. I would imagine in footage recorded back when he recorded the Regeneration.
Is this a live broadcast from the Fitzroy Tavern?
I just got to say, look at that lady, the far right. Look at that lady's face.
Yeah, we've commented on that before. She's checking out.
Sorry to be late to the party, but that's just made my night.
She's like, that's quite large.
Yates's wine lodge there, getting tanked up. Yes, so Billie Piper's definitely involved, but so is slightly more welcome, and this is what they're really shouting about, the involvement of both Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill, who haven't really spoken much about Doctor Who in anything like this for years and years and years now. Obviously, they've both gone on to great success. Arthur Darvill on television and the stage. Karen Gillan, blockbuster cinema, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as the Jumanji films and several other key parts. So this has a certain draw, I would imagine, for you too, Charlotte.
Oh no, to be fair, when I initially saw just Billy and David, I was just like, oh right, he's bringing those two, of course. And then when I saw Karen and Arthur, it made me go, if I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I will watch the parts of them. I'll find it afterwards because it'll be on the internet in like chunks probably, and certain people talking. Because like you said, those two haven't talked a lot beyond maybe the odd convention they've done or the odd thing when people bring up Doctor Who. 'Cause they were such an, like you said, amazing part of Matt's run. They had such a warmth to his Doctor, and they really felt like a unit. That's what I loved about that era. They all sort of had that family dynamic, a proper family, and it felt real on screen. But I do have to go. So it's been lovely to be back.
Night, Charlotte.
To be with Chris and everybody.
See you soon.
The excitement never ends. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, Charlotte. Catch up with you soon. It's not just Amy and Rory that are back. I'm happy to say that Bill Potts is also back. And Pearl Mackie, in other words, she's back speaking. Again, haven't heard her speaking on camera about the part in a long time. Big fan of Pearl Mackie's. I thought she was fabulous. I'm really excited to see that. And Mandip Gill is also back. She's done a few of these so far, and I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Yaz, but I am. But I do like. But I do like Mandip Gill. She's still got a lot of enthusiasm for this part, in quite a thankless part. And so for her to be there to represent what was a colossal failure, I think she's a kind of good sport, even if she may not know it. Varada Setu is also involved as well, the most recent Doctor Who companion, gone too soon. Sadly, oh dear. But
Where's Freema? Where's Freema? Where are the people that we care about?
She's not listed so far. But they are also bringing the production designer, Ed Thomas, who was on the show between 2005 and 2010, and Ray Holman as well, who was a costume designer on the series several times over. He was responsible for the monstrosity that was Jodie Whittaker's costume. So I don't hold that against him. He did some good stuff as well, to be fair. So he put together Matt Smith's original costumes.
Dressing up Ncuti Gatwa too. Who was? Are they going to be on there
I'm going to be praying that during the special, Verada holds up a sign with a message just for Dan. I don't know what that message would be, but it would just be, she would just hold that up.
Oh, now you've done it.
We can wish, can't we? We can wish.
Yes.
We've got a quote here from Stefan Powell. What a joy to be giving the unleashed treatment to 20 whole years worth of Doctor Who history, to see the lasting impact the show has had on those who helped bring the magic to the screen has been a privilege and a reminder of just how much the show means to so many.
I feel sick.
It's nice. It's quite nice.
I do feel sick. Fart sniffing exercise. It really will.
Well, to be fair, people did ask them for something to mark the 20th anniversary of New Who. They did, and here they are delivering. I'm not sure why they're delivering, because I do suspect this was hastily put together.
Yeah.
Maybe it's another symptom of the failure of the current production. I'm not certain, but I think that people asked for this in one form or another. So I think a nice hour running through what was initially very, very successful isn't a bad idea at all. Obviously, this does come with a warning. It contains Russell T Davies, it says here. So, take your wins where you can, haven't you? You got to listen to
be
more
honest,
of that. Not my favourite person at the moment.
I'd be more interested in something that is it Channel 4, whatever they did, a couple of years ago now, about with Doctor Who, where they did it behind the
Secrets
scenes.
and Scandals with Ian Levine.
For something like that, please.
And the BBC Two did a fantastic. The radio did a fantastic retrospective of the 20 years of New Who for the 60th. Yeah,
it's good.
I think it's good stuff. I know I won't be watching it, I'm afraid, because I just can't. I'm so out of I'm so out of Doctor Who at the moment. Nothing that you've said so far interests me. But what I was going to say was I really hope for the people who are going to watch it and are fans of sort of the Doctor Who as it stands at this moment in time, I hope they actually do a proper, interesting documentary with some interesting stories in, rather than, as Charlotte says, it just be an hour of backslapping and Russell T Davies being smug, and everybody just praising how brilliant everybody was. It's just a bit excruciating. So I hope it's just a proper, true, interesting documentary, as say, with stuff that we've not known before, with interesting stories in, rather than just a puffball piece of crap. And I
said this
wonder
is-
which one it will
You can
be.
just tell that it's more desperation in the fact that the people that they've actually got to speak.
But to be fair, Matt, cutting them a bit of slack, it might be that the people like Freema Agyeman, that I agree, I'd love to see her back.
On the stage at the moment in a very like sold out
Yeah,
play.
they just might not be available. To be fair, if you're a fan of that era, then I think it's reasonable to see those people come back and talk about it. It's just unfortunate that maybe they couldn't get the people that you would have liked to see. I think I have to cut them slack that they've maybe got back everybody that was prepared to come back and talk about it.
We're out of work.
Well, Dan, you said
yeah,
this
it could
was
be right, Matt.
You said, Dan, this was at 6 a.m. on iPlayer, so that means I'll be able to watch it on Friday night with the time change.
I suspect so. Yeah. Good news. Happy days for you. Yeah. We've got. I think people are reacting. I think it's got a mixed reception here in the live chat amongst our.
Doesn't seem great
Special
reaction,
guest
I have to
Avros.
say.
Matthew Pound is going to be washing his hair instead. We've got
Right.
best
He's
ever,
bald.
ever, according to
Yeah.
Richard Brooks.
That's the problem.
Jess suggests this could be a mockumentary.
Spinal Tap. Awesome.
Oh dear, they won't dare say anything's crap. Well, no, of course, we don't expect that, really, do we?
I don't
love
think it'll
Freema,
be.
says Richard Brooks.
I don't think it'll be as free as, say, something like an interview with J&T, where after the fact,
of course not.
where he did a retrospective on his tenure.
No,
And
you're
he
right,
was
Matt.
quite brutal
And he was very honest about
on
his own
himself.
things, about his own things that he did wrong.
Failings.
No, that's not going to happen.
I think
Matt,
it would be
there'll be a lot of.
I think the prospect of this, Gary, would be a lot more interesting. For example, if now we were in the period where a fourth person was showrunning, and because it's gone sort of full circle, and so therefore they can't speak too candidly about their original tenure, because that would involve
still on.
them saying things that went sort of tits up.
No, you're
Lots of
right.
things
There's
did go
been no.
tits up.
There's been no distance yet. You're
Yeah.
exactly right.
Well, and theoretically, they are still running the show, and so they clearly are going to have to be. No, you're not going to get any scandal. You're not going to get anything really juicy or interesting, or anything, as you suggest, Matt. That would be nice to hear, where they say, "Oh, we really didn't quite get that bit right, did we? We messed up." You're not going to get that because they're
Simon,
running
I
the
think
show.
there's gonna
Still.
be. I think there's going to be a lot of people, Simon, congratulating Russell for bringing it back in 2005.
Yeah. Well, and then worryingly, would they go as far, Gary, as sort of then congratulating him for doing a fantastic job with the new Ncuti Gatwa run? Well, probably, yeah. They probably will. What can you do?
It's possible,
That's how it is.
I will give credit for them, because they have been putting these out because of the fact that Doctor Who hasn't been shown on all the normal channels. This particular show, Unleashed, has been actually being put on YouTube for everybody to watch. Not that I've watched it, but at least they're putting it out there rather than showing snippets.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll wrong foot us all, and they'll announce the actual 16th Doctor sometime during this special.
No. No. Nice idea, Gary, but no.
I am looking forward to seeing this myself. I think it could be a laugh. I'm looking forward to hearing Arthur Darvill and Karen Gillan and Pearl Mackie. Slightly less some of the other people, but it's always fun to hear from designers, though. In all fairness, people who work in design and branding and all that kind of thing. I do love to hear from people like that.
You know what, Dan? They absolutely should be doing this. It is 20 years since New Who started. They should be having a retrospective documentary. This is absolutely the correct thing to do. The thing that I find just sad with this is that had had the current run, and that includes series 1 of Ncuti Gatwa as well, had it struck a chord with the public and had it resonated, and if the viewing figures were up there, this would undoubtedly have been on BBC 2 at minimum, and it would be getting some traction, and instead of buried on BBC 3, and that's because it will get a couple of 100,000. That's all it will get.
Exactly. That's why I fear that nothing of great note will be said, or is the point that even if they do say something of great note, nobody's really going to notice because of where the show is. It has raised the pun game in the live chat has been particularly strong during this segment. Doctor Who, Liven's Flame says Doctor Who unwatched. They didn't go with that.
Well, that's why they're putting it on YouTube for those extra numbers.
Fly Highland says, for 20 years of old Who, we got the 5 Doctors. For 20 years of new Who, we've got the annoying Welsh presenter talks to people. Well,
wow. Yeah,
I've not really seen it. To be honest, I kind of, he's one of those, but it's just he's permanently got that permanently fixed smile, and I'm sure he's genuine, and he seems like a nice enough fella, and all that kind of thing. But it's all a bit light and fluffy for me. I prefer the old style of doing it, where you got some sort of grizzled voiceover. But something went pear-shaped at 3 a.m. on a night shoot. Stephen Powell looks like the kind of guy who, he's never broken any bad news in his life. It's that kind of chap.
Well, and also I must be honest, but back in sort of season 1, and they even did the Unleashed episodes for the David Tennant episodes as well, didn't they? And I just remember seeing bits of those where they were just leaning so heavily into, for example, the Celestial Toymaker, and how how dinosaur we all were for even thinking that the original Celestial Toymaker could have been anything other than completely inappropriate then and now. And I just felt like I was being hit over the head with the agenda stick, and I felt insulted, and I zoned out at that point.
I recently watched a documentary with a guy who was doing that. He was also hosting it as well, but he was doing the narration and that. Keith Allen, are you aware of Keith Allen? I would I would love for him to narrate Doctor Who, in the fact that he was so self-deprecating and just, like, why am I doing this? I'd love to see that sort of thing. It's like, rather than just talk everything up.
Regardless of what we've been saying, I think it's only natural that everybody's going to be hanging on every word of the conversation between David Tennant and Billie Piper. I believe that they will speak about the fact that she is taking the lead role in this show, and because she's effectively now she's in the hot seat, and as I said earlier, it doesn't really matter who she's playing. All eyes are on Billie Piper because the show hasn't got any lead at all, and nobody's taking any accountability for it. Even Russell T Davies has been very, very quiet this week. So we're all going to be listening to what Billy's got to say. And I think that the symmetry as well here, because I think it about lines up. 20 years ago this week or next week or something like that, we can't be too far away from the 20th anniversary of the Parting of the Ways, where, of course, David Tennant made that on-screen debut, regenerating from Chris Eccleston. And they'll be sort of, I did it 20 years ago, and here you are. Now you watched me 20 years ago on screen, and now here you are it's happened to you. So I think they're going to lean into that. But I wouldn't expect any exclusives to come out of this, as you say, Simon, because simply I don't think that they've decided where this is going at all, and this has been put together really quite quickly to kind of come out of it looking a little better and a little bit more professional.
Well, also, this, let's be honest, as I say, this will get a couple of 100,000 views on BBC 3. This is not the place to be making major announcements about what somehow is still maybe just about a major brand in the UK. You wouldn't be burying it in a documentary that nobody's going to watch. So, no, there won't be any. I'm confident of that.
This definitely, for me, won't be a more than 30 years in the TARDIS. Like it just felt
that's what it'll be, Matt. Yeah. And as I say, to be fair, I genuinely don't think I don't think there's anything wrong with that. This era deserves that. There is enough love for certain years of this era, and it absolutely deserves it. It should get it. We had it back in the day in the classic run. Should be there.
We did. I'd like to think that we may get to hear some words from Julie Gardner. Maybe she'd like to repeat this one. Just at the start of this all-new era, Ncuti Gatwa was taking the lead. Julie said this. It was perfectly reasonable and supportive and measurable and professional. I want every person in the world to watch Doctor Who. With Disney Plus, we can just get bigger and get better reach. And it feels like exactly where Doctor Who should be.
Oh, it's quite tragic, that, isn't it? I find that actually quite
in
sad.
hindsight now, going back to this quote,
in retrospect, yes,
which I know we've used a couple of times, Matt. Yes, it's strange to see these words again. I wonder how Ms. Gardner might be feeling about this statement, but it does feel a little bit, Matt, like her words could come back to haunt her.
That was also, I remember this quote being said during all the nastiness with the whole touching grass thing and that.
Yeah, it was. It was said at the same time.
And so it seemed a little bit like a bit of a juxtapose. It was just a bit too strange because we had all this negativity, and then all of a sudden...
We're not used to people saying things that are kind of ambitious and reasonable and professional.
I seem to remember. I remember we talked about this at the time, and I seem to remember this came out almost as a response to the touching grass comments. I seem to remember we sort of said, oh, this is clearly Julie Gardner basically did what I said earlier on tonight that should have been happening more, sort of saying, whoa, hold on, think about what you're saying. And it was kind of a reaction to that, and almost a retraction of what was being said, and trying to reset the balance a little bit. But you're right, Dan. It rings very, very hollow now, I'm afraid. Sad.
Hopefully we'll get something that isn't. I expect all the puff piece stuff, and I don't necessarily mind that. I think it's kind of what you sign up for. But I'd like to think there could be something said that may upset a few apple carts and get us talking. And even if it's a little bit tabloidish, a bit trashy, I don't mind. But this
you have
is
to look
Doctor
at
Who.
Something. Yeah, you have to look at something.
We're going to have to wrap this up now.
All right.
But this is Doctor Who Unleashed, 20 years in Wales. It's dropping Saturday, the 7th of June, 2025, 6 a.m. on the BBC iPlayer, and then on BBC Three that evening, BBC Three at 7 p.m. All the previous episodes of Doctor Who Unleashed that we've all kind of forgot to watch, Matt, are available to watch on the iPlayer or internationally, just as the man said, over there on the YouTube channel, tucked away. Where you can see them if you're overseas. We're going to hang on every word, obviously, that they all say, particularly our new lead, Rose Tyler, Billie Piper. The moment, whoever she is and whoever she's playing and whatever's going on, we'll find out, won't we? We'll find out together.
Sack Russell T Davies, sack Jane Tranter, sack Phil Collinson, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back. So can you arrange that?
The look on Billy's face in that clip is priceless.
And the host too. The host as well. He's like, oh, what do I,
it's
how
Billy.
do I follow that up?
Billy.
Is it doable? Will time tell? We're going to finish off by flying the flag for the talent, dedication, and wealth of creativity out here in the Doctor Who fandom. Second to none. So there's never any shortage of pretty pictures to distract us from all the crap that's gone on over the last week here at Type 40 Live. We've always done what we can to encourage and showcase Doctor Who fan art and fan artists in our virtual gallery. We're trying to fill up these big grey walls before the lights go out completely. Won't be able to see Jack then, will we? But in the meantime, we can fill up the walls with traditional or digital art, anything from model makers or cosplayers or crafters or anything like that. Just get it into us and we can plaster it all over the walls. And while he's away, while the Doctor's not around, we can sort of litter the console with it as well. As you can imagine, a subject of a lot of fan artists over the last week or so has been yet another iconic regeneration and all the happenings in that double part special. So first of all, we've got this. This is really cute actually. A cartoon by Nick Draws featuring all four incarnations of the Rani. Set against the back wall there of the Rani's TARDIS from the Mark of the Rani, Simon, back in 85.
Yes. Yes, indeed it is, with those great big roundels and the pastel grey and pastel pink. It's brilliant. Kate O'Mara in that is superb.
Yeah.
I just love that. And Anita Dobson on the right-hand side is just great. Love that.
I like how they're all cutting their eyes at us, Matt, you know?
Yeah, no, I do like it. I just, it's just, I don't even know who that person is on the left of what she had.
That's Siobhan Redmond, who played the Rani in a couple of Big Finish stories a few years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Brilliant as well, to be fair.
Did she do good? I must be honest, I haven't heard
she's-
it.
she's great.
And the sad part... Go on, sorry, Dan.
No, she's really good. Scott's actress. She was in what was it? The Between the Lions with Neil Pearson all those years ago, and that sitcom The High Life, which I can't stand.
Oh, The High Life, which is coming back, isn't it? They've just announced that that's coming back again. Yeah. As I recall, I think Kate O'Mara had actually agreed to be in those Big Finish audios, and then I think she was either taken ill or sadly she might have passed away.
Right.
Yeah, before.
We talked about it on our Rani show a couple of weeks ago. The first one was actually written for her as well. Yeah, it's big shame.
Well, Kate O'Mara will always be the Rani for me.
Yeah, I agree. I still feel a little bit. I feel a little bit miffed that they haven't sort of paid more lip service to Kate O'Mara with the current sort of Rani that came back. It feels like she's just, I don't know, kind of ignored a little bit.
Oh well, they did make Dimensions in Time canon, so.
Well, did they? Okay, right, fair enough.
They did.
They did, yeah.
I hand that to them. Okay, fair enough.
There were clips, there were shots of Kate O'Mara.
Oh, well, there you go.
The episode as well, so they did blow a couple of kisses back to the late great Kate O'Mara.
I can't.
Lord Thoth agrees with you. There is only one Rani. David Mullen says it's a lovely composition, and Crimpling the Balloon thinks that's brilliant. Iconic, says the Peter Venkman fan site. We've got nice pick. Cool, says Cheryl. And Lord Thoth says Big Finish does not count.
Does these last few years.
Nice, says Ezra Goldstein. So generally speaking, I think people do like this. But no, I think it's nice to see them all together. I like Nick's work. We featured it several times. And there is a kind of, a similarity, I think, between how he's visualized the characters. Obviously, they've all got cheekbones, I suppose, pronounced cheekbones on this. Even Archie Panjab, who hasn't really got cheekbones as such. But for the purposes of making a nice illustration here, summing up a classic character recently revived, I think this is quite nice. Well done, Nick. And you can find his work on X and Instagram. There we are. Doesn't count anything past Capaldi, says David Muller. Well, yes, this is it.
A bit more cleavage on Archie, please. That would have been really great.
Yeah, drop the zip, drop the studs. Okay, so yes, and the Regeneration artwork abounds. This one. Now, when I saw this, I have to say, my first thought was sort of Thundercats. Oh,
yeah, there you go.
It reminds me of Dan.
Or He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
Emperor Palpatine. You know, when he's being lifted up. And
when Vader lifts him up at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. He's like, whoa!
Oh, bloody hell. This is from Joe Cook. Joe is a great digital artist. I do love his stuff, so I'm not trying to be cruel and take the piss, Joe. But no, it's a weird moment, and I think he's done his best to make it look impactful and to make it look monumental. And yes, it made me giggle. But I do like the way that Joe has sort of inset it into something that almost makes it look as epic as I believe Russell T Davies would have imagined Ncuti Gatwa's departure would be, rather than the ham-fisted one that he managed to scramble together. Fly Highland likes it. By the power of Grayskull.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm definitely seeing Masters of the Universe here.
Ezra finds that one boring. Fly Highland says it looks like a poster for a musical.
Very telling.
Is Ncuti playing the character of Fisto in Masters of the Universe? I'm just wondering.
Oh, Fisto. I think he'd go for a part in pretty much anything now. Good grief, says Matthew Pounder. I have the power. Yes, Queen. Oh, God. Richard Brooks.
Yes, that's a real quote.
I keep forgetting about that.
Don't forget the
You know,
kids.
I just got to say, not to take
Oh.
anything away from Joe, because like you said, the composition of this is very nice, but I look at this and I just think that this is kind of a perfect encapsulation of how far we've gone from, you know, the mystery and the magic of what Regeneration was in the classic series to what it is now. And I think that this, not taking anything away from Joe, this to me kind of encapsulates what it is.
Well,
now.
the fact now, Gary, that he can do it himself is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. David Mullen says in the chat, I've just gone into the chat just now, says because they have effects today, they have to use them. It's throttled the regeneration concept, thanks to the obsession with spectacle. I agree, David, and I agree with you, Gary. I think that's what you're saying. I loved, you know, I go back to something like the simplicity of the Logopolis regeneration or the Caves of Androzani regeneration, which I would say is the greatest regeneration. Yeah. Well, A, it was simple, but B, it was interesting to watch, and it was also quite emotional and quite poetic. Whereas these, you're right, David Mullen, it's just about spectacle. It's just about chuck the CGI yellow flames at it, and just. But there's nothing interesting. There's nothing interesting about it. There's nothing engaging. It's just yellow flames. It's just boring. Sorry, Matt. Go on.
Well, that was that. No, you're right. Exactly what you were saying, Simon. I always look forward to how they were going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, how they were going to do this effect.
Whereas now it's always the
time,
same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
to see every Time Lord now.
Just to see Davison quietly say, "Is this death?" You know, that's all you needed.
Poignant, Gary. It's poignancy. That's what it is. It's beautiful. They're beautiful moments. Whereas we're supposed to somehow be impressed by some CGI yellow sparks chucked on the top of the picture.
Yeah.
Don't forget, they all have speeches now before they regenerate. It's not like Pertwee when he gets out.
So
and he's
nauseating.
Like, you know, it's like, God's sake.
I know. I mean, Pertwee couldn't even finish a sentence.
No, he couldn't.
But that was what worked so well. Was the fact
I can't stand these regenerations either guys. It's to me, I just don't feel anything.
No,
and
correct,
some
Dan.
people
That's what I'm saying.
Some people will insist that they do, and I'm not going to call them liars, but I suspect they could be exaggerating, or they could. It's heightened. It's something else. It's not the way that we felt when we were children, or that Naughty's kids felt when they were children either. That uncertainty, that fear. And that mourning, that's not there anymore.
I mean, do you know what? You're right, Dan. The Chris Eccleston regeneration, now that worked well. I think they got that right because there was a yearning there. There was a poignancy there. And so for all of the CGI yellow flames that were on that, I think that one worked, personally. It just became a bit silly once David Tennant regenerated, because he was half an hour out the door, wasn't he? It took him half an hour to get out of the door when David Tennant left.
That
worked as long as they didn't do it again.
Yes, correct.
Because they'd never done it before. It was fine. Certainly by me, it was fine. I know it annoyed some people, but it had never been done before. And it felt appropriate because the show was so popular and that actor was beloved. It felt earned. But
that's the word.
Ever since then, it's just got more and more convoluted, overblown. The speeches are intolerable, and I include Peter Capaldi's in that. Far too much for me. This regeneration has inspired artwork, though, and I'm not going to knock the people who spent the time creating this stuff. I actually found this next one from Brambles and Stars far more effective than the actual regeneration on screen last Saturday.
It's a lovely piece of artwork,
lines, isn't it?
It's a beautiful piece of artwork.
It is.
It doesn't, it is utterly magnificent. I love the artwork. Unfortunately, the subject matter of what it's portraying, it's just not working for me. It's, I mean, somebody else put in the chat. This is like a Jesus complex. It's almost. I'm finding this almost sort of. I don't know. it's just too overblown. We are supposed to think of the Doctor as some sort of Christ figure. It's almost. I'm not a religious person, but it's almost distasteful.
I think what I like about, because I don't want to talk about regeneration as
no,
such
sorry,
too much, but I want to. What I think why I like this piece better is because the Doctor almost looks in pain. He looks uncomfortable, and we can't see. One of the things I hated about the regeneration on screen was the fact that he was floating in midair, and here he looks like he is stood, or he could even be knelt in the doors of the TARDIS. So it adds a certain mystique. Whereas if you hadn't seen the actual change, you'd think, oh, what is happening there? He looks like he could be convulsing, and this doesn't look like the regeneration energy that we've always seen on screen. There are other colours in there. So I just think this is slightly more interesting, and that Brambles and Stars has kind of brought something, to me, a romance that the actual regeneration didn't have. But
yeah, artistically, you're both right. This is beautiful artistically.
Yeah, it is.
I just don't like the explosiveness of it now. And like with the people, but it does so much to affect everything else except the people that are standing around it when it does happen. If there are people around, it doesn't affect anyone, but it affects, it blows everything.
But I'll tell you what I love about this artwork as well, though. Actually, I love the angle, and I love we never ever see that angle on the TARDIS looking down on it.
Yeah,
that's not a good angle for him.
Yeah, with the light casting shadows across the roof. I really like that. That angle just isn't seen, and it should be. It's a good angle, so I love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Shooty looks like a flower, says Fly Island, which feels accurate.
That's a nice way to finish, Dan.
Matthew Panda says it's the Hunger Games fire dress. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're.
I do like toward the top, toward like the top right quarter. I mean, you get the blues and the greens and the pinks and everything. I do like that too.
Yeah, I say the artwork itself is
Richard Brooks. Matthew Pounder wonders what shoot he's been eating because it could have been a Vindaloo. Or back out, yeah. We have. We have more comments about regen. We will be doing a special on regeneration at some point in the future, everybody. So don't worry. I think with that time, we've talked about it several times. We're going to be doing that at some point in the future. But for now, I just want to say, nice job, Brambles and Stars. I really like this. I think this is you got something that for me I found missing on Saturday, and it's a silver lining to a big old cloud that has been the entirety of the two-part season finale, really, sadly, which that's about all there is. Obviously the Billie Piper fan art will be next out of the traps, I've no doubt. But when
I was expecting that's what you were going to show.
Yeah, me too.
When we know so little, all we've got is that big old face. There's not much to see for now. Certainly not enough of that to put up on the walls, but we'll need some. So you send it to us in due course through all the usual methods. Send it our way or us its way. We don't care. As long as we get it here, reach out to us through our social media. That's Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. But I suppose we can't really say this anymore because he's gone. Yeah, come and say hello. Come and say hello, Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who, as always. Or join our community over there on Facebook, the Type 40 Facebook group, where we're still reviewing and recovering from the season finale there in the Facebook group, reviewing the episode and trading our instincts about where it could go or where they should shove it. As regards Doctor Who going into the future, get involved with Type 40, the live stream and the podcasts, all through the wonders of SpeakPipe. So you can record us a message, a question, a prediction, any feedback at all over there on SpeakPipe, and we're all ears. So get them in. Catch up with our earlier coverage there of the season finale, that instant reaction live stream there in real time with a packed panel, all kind of picking one another up off the virtual floor there as the season concluded, and Ncuti Gatwa did one, and the big old face appeared there. You can get my Dr. Billy video to find all that up here on the channel at your discretion. Doctor Who Unleashed, obviously at the weekend. This is dropping on the iPlayer on Saturday. I think it was 6 a.m., wasn't it? And then it's on BBC Three later that night. We'll be back here with our early edition next Monday, 8 p.m. here with our take on all of that. What are they going to come out with? Who knows? We'll let you know as soon as we know. Another one done, and a huge week, a huge season, topped off nicely, I think, gentlemen and lady. Obviously, Charlotte Shields, thank you so much again, as always.
I thought you were calling me a lady.
No, I'm just thanking Charlotte through the wonders of the internet there. She'll be catching up with this later, so I want to make sure that I say thank you, Charlotte. And yeah, Matt, thank you again for getting up for this. Happy Friday
No
to you,
worries.
buddy.
Sorry I was a little late.
It's okay, were you? I can't remember. A couple of hours. It could have been a lifetime ago, mate. Yeah, it's good to see you. What have you got planned for the weekend, mate? You got anything picked out to watch, or you going anywhere?
Yes, I've just bought a new entertainment. Like I just bought a Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2, so I'll be playing Mario Kart all weekend.
Bet my eldest has got one of those.
It's
very
nice. It's very nice.
Gary Akers, the retro doc himself. You may not be Pope, but you'll always be the top with us.
Thank you. You know, I was just thinking, you know, I don't know, just speaking for myself, I don't know how I would have handled the last 8 weeks if I had not had all of you to get together with and process it. I can't imagine doing this alone for the last 8 weeks.
Dear me, yes, Simon, it was. Simon, after a couple of hours of us sort of dancing around that topic and hearing Chris too, obviously Chris Walker-Thompson, our guest tonight. Thank you again, Chris, for your company. You're hearing how impassioned he was, how full of ideas he was about what should happen, you know, but basically they should all piss off. but to be fair, everything that he said was completely on point. But to be moved to this position, it's not nice to hear fans upset, is it, and almost pulling their hair out. But obviously this place, Type 40 Live and the Type 40 podcast, it is a place where people can come and express that and not be judged in any way, be supported and to share, isn't it?
Totally, 100%. And it's funny because, you know, while the series has been on, and as I say, to be clear, I saw a little bit of the first episode and that's it. Nothing else. Haven't seen any of the rest of the series apart from the occasional clip that's popped up on social media. And there's been times where I sort of thought, oh, do you know, really, should I go and watch these episodes? Should I give them a go? And that thought has gone out of my head in the same second that it came into my head, because of what I've seen of the clips on social media stuff. I know I've seen all of the episode. There is nothing more to see. I'm not going to find anything in the episode that I'm going to enjoy. So I have to be honest, I've really been very, very happy to be out of the show this year, watching Doctor Who. And some people have said, oh, you know, it's a shame. I'm like, no, believe me, I'm totally cool. I've got no regrets whatsoever, and nothing makes me think, out of curiosity, maybe I'll just go and watch those. So I would highly recommend this route to anybody. If Doctor Who ever does come back and you're not feeling it, just sit it out. You'll feel better for it. But you're right, Dan. It's good to have safe spaces that you can come and have a you know, share your thoughts on it, and know that they're going to be.
We've brought you up to speed on where we're all at and where
absolutely.
We're all at.
Thank you,
everybody in the live chat. Some great comments tonight, and yeah, you've been very patient with us while we debated it amongst ourselves. We've got some great comments, lots of new names as ever. So thank you, thank you for all of that. One more sort of, I would say, a chunk yet to come. More dessert, of course, really, with the Unleashed special over the week. Then that hour-long special of the show on BBC Three. So we'll get back to you with our thoughts about all of that, as well as more hot takes and cold shoulders, pet peeves and pot shots on the next Type 40 Live. It continues Mondays and Thursdays from 8 p.m. here with the panel. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments and for your support through the entirety of our coverage there of season 2 of Doctor Who. We can't really call it all new. Sort of, it's not new anymore. In fact, it's all over. All over Doctor Who. That's what we're going to start calling it, I think, for the time being. Obviously, it's never the last word on any part of Doctor Who's history, whether it was last week, last century. It's all open to debate all the time. That's what we like to think we do best here at Type 40 Live, here on the panel, and everybody there in the live chat too, all friends and companions together. That's it for this one, though. Off we go, bounding off again. We always have the time if you have the space, though, here at Type 40 Live. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.